Yeah!
Try this. Preparation H?
Pain, itching? Sure, try this. Preparation
My
H?
nickname should be Preparation H because I really do. Look, I have a whole. I have notes here. You know?
Feeling better today? Thanks to you in Preparation H.
Back in form, Bill? Thanks to you in Preparation H.
Comics Wellspring. And yeah, this is printed with Comics Wellspring. Came out beautiful.
High quality stuff. People think it's fantastic. All the books that you see at my table are through Comics Wellspring.
Hey, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Indie Comics Relay. I'm your host, Keith Gleason, creator of the Mighty Mascots and promoter for the Plastic City Comic Con. With me, is always, Johnny C., creator of Sartana, Surrounded by Death, and The Pond. For who, Johnny?
Okay.
My good cousin, Roger Morocco. What's up?
Yeah. And our third co-host here.
Sometimes they even get the best of me.
It was because I was big on the screen, right, Johnny? It blew your mind. Is that what happened?
It completely threw me off.
It choked him up.
So the first thought that went through my head when I saw that was, all hail Keith.
Right.
Keith, our overlord.
I don't know if for some reason it keeps defaulting to that. This is the second weekend in a row that it's did that. I'll have to check that before we go live next time just to make sure. It throws me off too. I'm like, what the hell?
It's more dramatic that way.
Big dome on there, you know.
It's more dramatic that way. You know? Like, ooh.
It was more dramatic.
Yeah,
I was
like,
thoroughly impressed.
It's Oz, the great and powerful.
It's like almost like
never mind the man behind the curtain.
Right.
What'd you say, Harry?
Like it's almost like something important was about to be said. You know.
Yeah,
news.
exactly. It's weird. So how you guys doing? Our third week in a row. You guys, Johnny, you had a busy weekend, huh?
It doesn't feel like a third week in a row, but it
doesn't.
I sure did. Yep.
Yeah, I know one of the days was AEW, right? Like you were at AEW.
Yes. So I have a little bit of a delay happening, so I'm a little thrown off here. But yes, so I did go to AEW on Saturday night. I was there for the Collision taping or the live Collision, and then Rampage taping for next Friday. So got to see some really awesome matches. If you're a wrestling fan, I highly recommend you check out last Saturday's Collision. And there's some really good matches for you guys next Friday on Rampage. So
your
lots of fun stuff.
Your boy Hologram showed up though. I mean, you think that was part of the like people like they said that he wasn't going to show up only to surprise the fans at the end? Or
I just think it was poor marketing on behalf of AEW because they only announced 4 matches on the card, and then there was a few more than that, one of which being the match including Hologram. So he's a typical staple for Collision, but for the fact that he wasn't advertised made me nervous because I really wanted to see Hologram. I was super excited for that. And believe you me, it was worth it.
Nice.
It was for like the 5 minutes I got to see him wrestle. It was some of the most amazing shit I've ever seen.
It almost sounds like
Yeah.
on purpose though. It was like because you weren't expecting to see him, and all of a sudden there he is. It's like he appeared like a hologram almost.
He appears like a
right?
hologram, exactly.
I mean, honestly, he's one of the most impressive wrestlers I've seen in a long time. Honestly, like just the moves I've seen that dude do.
Who would
Like
you
just
it's
like stuff that if you do just a little bit wrong, you're dead. You know what I mean? Honestly, like the way he flies out of the ring, oh, it's insane.
He did this thing, and maybe I can cue up some video for later, but where he evaded the opponent by basically jumping through the ropes around the ring post.
Mm-hmm.
So he was going through the ropes around the ring post to avoid the other guy. It was amazing. It was just amazing. And then he ended by flipping off the ropes. It was just amazing.
Great.
He must not do that many shows a year then, because how can he keep that up, that kind of energy? You know, like,
Well, he's exclusive to Collision, which is every Saturday night. So once a week, I guess, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that's not bad. You can recover in a week.
like football.
Yep.
Yeah.
The big thing. So the big thing is that he's kind of being like a homegrown, like guy through AEW. So like there's like a hype around him, right? We're looking forward to seeing him jump over to Dynamite and challenge other people. It's real exciting stuff. And I was even thinking while I was at the show, I was like, wow, like a lot of this is a lot like the way comic books were, and how excited I was when you found out, oh no, Wolverine's gonna be jumping into Avengers and teaming up with Captain America and Black Widow. It's
well, I mean, times that we said on this show that comics and wrestling are like, go hand in hand. They really do, with the way they do storylines, and then
absolutely
you have to fight to good versus evil, and all that stuff.
Story build up.
Yeah,
that's the other thing. Little threads, things like that. I almost wish mainstream comics would take a few cues from wrestling.
Well, back in the 80s, like it was a cartoon show, like Hulk Hogan's Rock and Wrestling. It really became a cartoon, like from wrestling to real life to cartoon.
Right.
Although they never wrestled in that cartoon, and it drove me freaking bonkers.
I did like the live action, like in betweens, like between the cartoon, there's like always some kind of
there was. That was great. Yeah, that was good.
Also, because being a kid at that time, just seeing Hulk Hogan talk was good enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, just Hulk Hogan's gonna be there. Let me see it.
You know who voiced the Hulk Hogan in that show?
No,
I don't.
That big guy that from Everyone Loves Raymond, that big brother. I forget his name. Garrett.
Brad something or other.
Brad Garrett.
Garrett, yeah. So he was the voice of Hulk Hogan.
Oh, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I'd have to go back and watch an episode just to see if I could see it.
Yeah.
But anyways,
I was gonna say wrestling permeates this show so much. We should do like a spin-off, one episode a month wrestling thing. Keep it off the comics, even though it bleeds over. We just blow so much time on wrestling.
Oh yeah, I still have that video of us at LPW. Maybe I'll play that later too.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we'll both. Keith, we'll share our wrestling clips.
Yeah, there you go.
But we digress. We should really get back to the guests.
The old clip that we had with the three of us at wrestling.
Right on. I'll queue up something from the show this weekend if you share that later.
Yeah, definitely. We'll see where the show goes. Us, we kind of fly by the seat of our pants here. All right, before we bring in the guests, which I'm excited to talk to all three, let's just zoom through the chat real quick. Let's see. We got Brandon, one of the guests is in the chat. We got
and the
Amy's
green room.
Birdhouse is of course in the chat tonight. Ara, hey Ara, what's up, man? Good to see you. Our good pal George Medina. How goes it, my friends? What's going on,
my New York Comic-Con partner in crime.
Yeah, and I saw
you see me and George booth 2040 this New York Comic-Con.
Nice.
Yep.
I saw that he just got back from Baltimore, right?
Correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. I heard it was good. I heard Granite State was good too this weekend.
I had a little bit of FOMO not being either one of those places.
Right. Amy said we got to see LPW on Friday. Big belt upset. That's true. Let me see. Amy said that's the wrestling comics magic. Yeah. Brandon said definitely definitely see the love of wrestling coming into comics the past few years with some great titles like Do a Power Bomb. Yeah, that's right. I never read. I had that in my hand this weekend to buy, and I got to get that soon. It's a Daniel Warren Johnson comic.
And I think part of it is the fact that just wrestling's gotten better.
Yeah.
Content wise and quality wise over the last 4 to 5 years. So that I think by default, and the fact that it's permeating into Comic-Cons, I think there's that crossover potential there.
Oh, yeah,
as well,
absolutely.
You know?
Aris says 20,000 Hulkamaniacs.
I think you meant Hulkamaniacs.
Hulkamaniacs. Yeah. And he also said Granite State was good. Yeah, I heard it was.
I'm jealous.
So I gotta talk to my coworkers that were there this weekend and see how their experiences were.
I wanted to go up to see
them
Travis
today,
Gibb.
but yeah. Oh, did you go down?
No, I wanted to, but I just never went.
He was there, huh? Yeah,
I think so. Yeah.
Oh man. And then finally, one more. George said, "I've missed too many of your shows, guys, but I'm here to check out some cool ass creators and indie talk. Heard that Gallows Man is pretty damn good.
Sure
yeah, I
is.
gotta say it is. Hey, DC Miller saying hi and blowing kisses to Harry. We'll have to watch the rest of the show on replay. Hey, DC Miller is the artist doing my backup story, the one with the Pillsbury, or my version of Pillsbury Doughboy. Talented guy. Love his Hanna-Barbera style.
Cool.
Baltimore was a good show. Oh, hey, look at this. Chris from Hero Shack. The Armory Room was way better than we thought it would be. Yeah, people know where the Armory Room is now because they've been using that room for years now. So yeah, it's not a bad place to be.
And they spilled over to the arena as well, right?
Yeah, right. That's the one thing I was worried about, whether they made it work in both locations. I know at Wicked this year, having 2 separate locations was kind of a buzzkill, but we'll see. We'll see. Well, speaking of Wicked, one of the guests tonight is a guy I met for the first time at Wicked, which is Patrick Coyle. He has this great book. I've been seeing it around. Like I used to see it at That's Entertainment, a few other stores. It's basically a detective story, but if the detective character was a mummy, and it's got like a supernatural kind of stories and mysteries. Reminds me a lot of have you ever read a comic called Cal McDonald, Johnny?
Doesn't
by
ring
Steve
a bell
Niles,
offhand.
the guy that did 30 Days a Night. Reminds me a little bit
familiar
of
with
that.
Steve Niles. I literally jumped out of my vehicle at a stoplight in front of Boston Comic-Con back in the day just to shake Steve Niles' hand because I had just finished reading 30 Days a Night.
So
and I was
good.
like, dude, you blew my mind with that graphic novel. You're the man. And like I jumped back in my car just as the light changed.
Wow.
Well, if you ever get a chance, Johnny, pick up a Cal McDonald series that
I'll have to check it out.
He has a bunch of minis, and it's basically a detective that can see monsters, and it's really good.
I was thinking Moon Knight-ish. Come on, Moon Knight-ish.
A little bit, like with the mummy
with
thing.
the Egyptian, the whole Egyptian,
the Egyptian kind of thing.
Story.
But yeah, no, it's really good. So it was nice to meet him. We talked for a little bit at Wicked, and he's got a new Kickstarter, so I'm glad he came on the show. Oh, we also have Brandon tonight from Dismay Comics, who is a returning guest, been on the show a couple times. Like him
Always
a
love
lot,
having
and
Brandon
he's
back.
always got great comics to share with us. And another newbie tonight, which I'm curious to get to know. His name is Frank Martin. He has a series on Kickstarter called, I think it's a one shot called The Fart Bomb. It's like an all ages story with, I guess maybe could be like a little bio comic. I don't know.
A story we can all relate to.
I was going to say that I'm so glad where Howard Stern dropped the ball and couldn't make Fart Man a full-blown character. Here comes Patrick to save the day.
Yeah.
So I'm very curious to find out more about this character.
He might be the grandfather of farts almost.
Few more comments, and then we'll bring the guests right in here. Chris said the Armory Room was way better than we thought it would be. Oh, I read that already. He also said,
apologies, I meant Frank, not Patrick. Frank did Fart Bomb. I just got my careers confused.
Did you switch them up? I didn't.
Frank.
I didn't.
I said Patrick. Yeah.
We've all been there.
Frank. Apologies,
We've been
guys.
there.
Right.
People were telling me the arena was too crowded, and it seemed to help push them over. Oh, that's great. George said that was rough at Wicked. I gotta agree with you, buddy. He was there too.
I don't want to disparage Wicked. It's a good show. It just needs to develop more. It needs more time, more.
I said, I have no problem with it. I think they just they have room for improvement, definitely.
For sure.
Dismay said he's a squatter on the podcast.
Cool.
And Amy said, haha, I thought Fart Bomb was my biography. That's great. Travis Gibb. Hey, Travis.
Hey, Travis.
Check it in. I heard I was name dropped on this show.
Yes, you were.
Thanks.
You were at Baltimore. He wasn't at Granite.
Yep.
So
I also shouted him out on my
no worries, man.
Indie comic recommendation this month too.
So funny thing about Travis, if you're listening still, Travis, you name dropped Bob Sally when you were on the show, and it inspired me to reach out to Bob. So like I hadn't talked to him in the longest time. You mentioned his name, and that was a little bit of a like a motivator to reach out to him. So glad you did that. It's like you name drop, and then that enables it to happen, so to speak.
Awesome. All right, let's not waste any more time, and let's get in our guest in tonight. So one of you guys pick who I should bring in first. I don't know, changing up a little bit.
Let's bring in Frank.
Frank Martin, welcome to the show, Frank.
There he is.
Hey, Frank, thanks for joining us, man.
I just realized that if nobody is familiar with my work and you think The Fart Bomb is the very first book I made, you'd be like, why would your first comic be about farts? But it's like my 20th comic, so it's like,
hey,
it's like no,
first, last, 20th. It doesn't matter to us. It looks good. I gotta say,
that's the key factor, man. It's good.
All right.
So, you were talking about being an autobiography. Kind of. It's about my son. My son's the main character in the book,
cool.
and the characters are our family. And one day he kind of let one rip, and he called it his fart bomb. And my wife, knowing that I make comics, said you should make a comic of that. And I don't know if it was a dare, but I did it anyway. So
right on.
So I kind of made this all ages comedy about my family.
Sounds good, man. All right, so hang on right there. Let's bring in our other guests here as well. Let's go with Patrick as our second guest. What's up, Patrick?
Hey, how's it going? Good to see you guys.
Man.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
hey,
man.
Patrick, thanks for coming on, man.
And then let me bring in our third and final, last but not least, Brandon from Dismay Comics. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, thanks for having me. I got to say, with the 30 Days of Night, I love the comic, and this isn't as good as the comic, but the movie is, I feel, underrated.
Movie's good.
I don't think people talk about the movie enough.
The movie's good. They changed a couple things that I remember annoyed me about it, but overall, it's really good.
That was Josh Hartnett, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
The thing I liked about 30 Days of Nights, the comic in the movie, the concept is brilliant. Like that's like what a vampire would do, right? Go find a place where there's eternal, darkness for a long period of time. I thought that was great.
And the art is just beautiful in that comic.
Yeah, absolutely.
Were the vampires extra fat in that comic, or?
No, but they were more. They made them more monster-like, which I appreciated as well. Like they made it like it sucked to be a vampire in that. Like you looked like you know what I mean? It looked awful.
It makes me think that if 30 Days of Night never existed, they couldn't have made the TV show The Strain.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like it's almost like they're kismet, like they're twins or cousins.
Yeah.
Another
one where it was unglamorous to be a vampire.
Yeah.
But yeah, good stuff. So, gentlemen, welcome to the show. We always we always love to get to know the guests and how they got into the comic industry. I know we've talked to Brandon about this before, but you guys, since you guys are newbies, I'm always intrigued by what was the moment that clicked with you that made you want to become a creator. Was it when you put down that special comic, or if you had saw a cartoon or a movie or something that blew you away that you I want to be a creator? Is there something that you guys can point to in your past to find that moment? That I'll go with whoever wants to start first, Frank or Patrick.
I mean, it didn't feel, so I've always been a writer. I started with prose first. I wrote short stories, but I've always read comics. And then it was just a kind of a gradual, like, wearing down. Like, you read comics. And then one day I was like, let me just try writing one, you know?
Okay. So there wasn't a thing that made you like go, I want to be a comic creator.
No, but I could tell about creators who I loved reading. I got suckered into the whole ultimate marketing scheme that Marvel had. So those are the books that I grew up reading, and I love the storytelling, and I love storytelling in general. So I'm like, let me just see if I can make this work. And it was just, over time, it became a drive that I wanted.
Okay. How about you, Patrick? Is there something you can remember?
Yeah, for me, it was the Raiders of the Lost Ark Marvel adaptation when I was a kid.
I had that. Yeah.
I still have it. It's beat to hell because I read the shit out of it when I was a kid.
Yeah.
But that was when we had spinner racks in the corner stores and all that kind of stuff. And what I loved about comics was I'm also an artist. I'm not fast or consistent enough to do my own comics, but as a kid, I drew and was writing my own stories. Because it felt accessible and doable. I couldn't make Raiders of the Lost Ark the movie, but I could make something like the comic. I could sit and draw and write my own stories. So that's when things kind of clicked for me.
That's awesome. I remember being blown away, like after I read that, finding out that Marvel had like a continuing series.
I love that series
with Indiana Jones, right?
Yep.
I was like, oh my God, there's more, like because I love the movie so much.
I know, and John Byrne worked on it. Howard Chaykin worked on it. There's a bunch of great people on that book.
Do they have Indiana Jones comics now?
They do, but they're very infrequent. Like
because James Bond is always on.
James Bond's always around. I think the last time I saw an Indiana Jones book was it when Dark Horse had it? I think
so.
It's been a while. It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
He's primed for a comeback, I think.
I'm surprised Marvel didn't do a Dial of Destiny thing.
Yeah, they didn't do anything, did they?
Yeah.
No.
What's sad about that movie is they didn't do a lot to build up to it. You had a huge gap between Crystal Skull and that, to where the only thing there was like Lego Indiana Jones 1, Lego Indiana Jones 2. There you go.
Very true.
Like, I know there's a new game coming out called
that looks really good.
It does look good.
Yeah.
And I'm curious about that. But even then, like you're saying, Brandon, there was nothing between those two movies for a long time. Do
you think they'll ever reboot it with a new actor?
Spielberg said that he wouldn't, as long as he and Harrison Ford were alive.
So I like.
So when they die,
these are the same guys that made young Indiana Jones, though, at one point. So
that was mostly George. That was mostly George.
Wasn't that River Phoenix that played young Indiana?
It was, yes.
In the third one, but there was actually a TV series.
Yeah.
Called Young Indiana Jones Chronicles.
John Patrick Flannery,
which wasn't bad. It just didn't feel like Indiana Jones.
Right. Yeah.
It was a fine young coming of age adventure story. It just never really.
He was too young. I wanted 25-year-old Indiana Jones.
Yeah. When he's older, he
do some shit.
Right.
Some episodes were him as a kid, and some episodes were him as a teenager.
Yeah,
and then was him as the old man with the eye patch. It was the worst.
Yeah,
right. Horrible.
Yeah. Whenever the little kid was on, I'm like, oh shit. I don't want to watch it this week.
It's like a Lisa episode of The Simpsons. You're like, I gotta skip
hey! I love the Lisa episodes. Come on. You don't make friends with
always
salad?
found them boring.
Come on.
As long as Shia LaBeouf stays away, I'll be fine with that.
Shia LaBeouf.
Yeah,
I don't want that kind of get him away from that hat.
I
thought dug him up for that new Francis Ford Coppola movie. He's in that, I guess.
Oh yeah. I thought it was brilliant the way they wrote him out in Dial of Destiny, though.
Yes,
I thought it was great. It was great, but don't worry about that. But we're gonna acknowledge it, but move on from it. Which I thought was perfect.
Perfect.
Well, I like that they used it as part of the character arc in that.
It worked as part of the story, which was brilliant.
Yeah, definitely.
Just to piggyback off of something you said earlier, Patrick, is that you said you read the shit out of that comic, right?
I did. Yeah.
So you have to think and I'm assuming we're kind of the same age generation, where we grew up where, we didn't have on demand.
Right.
We didn't have streaming. We didn't have, if we missed that week's episode of X-Men, we had to go to the comic shop and buy X-Men Adventures to revisit that episode
Right.
and read it in comic format.
Right.
And if you didn't record it on your VCR,
Right.
you weren't going to rewatch that episode.
You were screwed. Yeah.
You know, and that was, and honestly, and so many guests come on the show and they say that like X-Men, the animated series, Spider-Man, Batman, they were all entranceways into comics. And I think one of those components was the fact that if you missed it on TV, you can go into a comic shop and kind of get the same thing. And that was your fix, your first hit of comics, right?
Totally. Yeah, Raiders is that adaptation is what pulled me into comics too. Like I started picking up. I was like, oh, this is on the. I'm literally at a store that I can ride my bike to, and I can spend my paper route money and buy. At the time, I was a kid in the '80s, so I was buying like Batman and the Outsiders and Atari Force and all these crazy comics. This was pre-Crisis, before the first Crisis, like the original, the OG Crisis on Infinite Arts. So yeah, that was my gateway.
Same thing. Like I had those movie adaptions were a way into comics.
Totally.
For me, especially because I remember that I picked that up, and then I think the next thing I bought was a Transformers issue from the Marvel ones.
Okay.
So it was another cartoon tie-in. I was and then my first comic after that was an issue of Spectacular Spider-Man, and that was history for me after that.
Was that
I was all
Peter
over
David era?
It's buying too much. What's up?
Was that the Peter David Spectacular Spider-Man era?
It was well, what intrigued me was he had the black suit at the time, and I was like, what? Why? I couldn't understand it. My little kid brain couldn't understand. Like, did Spider-Man fall in some tar? Like, I couldn't understand that. Like he had like a new outfit. You know, it was really bizarre.
Yeah.
And but I liked it. I was like, oh, okay, so it's still Spider-Man. He just looks weird, you know. And but it was great.
What I love is that they basically gave him that costume because people were tired of drawing the webs all the time.
Is that why?
Like, can we please make this simple so I don't have to draw it and make it look real and have the rings around the fingers and like because it's such a pain in the ass.
Wow,
just
I could
black.
see that.
Yeah.
I could see that. Wow, and the black did look kind of cool, but I think
liked
the
it.
plastic colors though, or
of course. Well, it's never gonna stick. It's gonna stay around forever.
Everything comes full circle. Now they're making new Black Symbiote comics.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly.
Now there's the symbiote war or whatever happened this year.
Everybody gets a symbiote nowadays.
You get a symbiote. You get a symbiote.
Well, now they're doing instead of the Spider-Verse, there's like the Venom verse now too.
God help us.
Like, oh my God, how many Venoms can we have? What'd you say, Johnny?
I'm just reiterating what Patrick said. God help us.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like you can only have so much. But I mean, there's some ways where it was cool, like the idea of a Red Goblin, which was a Carnage and the Goblin combined. Like that was kind of cool, and that touches upon an
Red
alien. Red Hulk. An alien. The alien takes on the properties of its host, right? So when you mess with that kind of stuff, that's where you kind of touch on that sci-fi fandom. And I think those are fascinating, but then there's too much of that.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Always. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
There's a tipping point where it's, oh, give me more. This is awesome. Oh, too far.
wait, is Red Hulk like a geriatric Hulk or something? Like why is Harrison
basically
Ford
yeah, you're kind of right, Harry. You're actually kind of right.
My buddy John, who's a huge Hulk fan, cannot stand the Red Hulk. He calls him the ketchup Hulk. He can't stand it.
Well, I remember when he first appeared, they didn't reveal who it was, and there was all this mystery about who it was, and then they revealed who it was,
fun.
And then everyone's kind of like, okay.
I like
right.
Fun.
It's Indiana Jones. Full circle.
Yeah, right.
Indiana Jones. There you go.
100% CG.
I think he looks terrible in that trailer, by the way, but that's neither here nor there. Let's go.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out. But anyways, yeah. So do you guys still read comics now? Like, do you guys go to the store every Wednesday and buy comics still, or?
No.
I'm an oddball. I go to the library.
Oh, okay.
And the library has everything that I could possibly imagine. So I'm always reading something new.
I mean, the prices of comics now, it's like crazy. Like,
well, I do a hybrid. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I was going to say, to tack on to the library thing, a lot of libraries, not all, but a lot of them have I forgot specifically what the company is, but you can rent digitally.
Hoopla is one of them. There's a couple of them.
Yeah.
I do the same thing.
Oh, they do digital now. That's
Hoopla's
cool.
great. They do
Wow.
single issues too.
Yeah.
Do they really? Wow.
It's an astronomical amount of content.
Oh my God.
At your fingertips.
How
For free.
current is Hoopla to like say the current release? Is it like a month behind or?
I think I'm not really sure, but
Not sure either.
it's not. I don't think it's terrible.
Okay.
No, it's not a huge gap. I already started when I started going digital only for Marvel and DC because I didn't want to pay. They don't need my money. I wanted to give it to the indies, right? So I wanted to give it to Image and to Dark Horse and some of the littler guys.
Yep.
So I've started doing the Hoopla thing, but before that I was doing the Marvel Unlimited. So I got used to that 6-month gap for a while, which is fine as long as you don't care really about spoilers anymore.
I feel like they're pretty easy to avoid.
Usually these days, it doesn't seem too bad. The movies are a lot worse.
The
movies are impossible. If you didn't see Deadpool and Wolverine within the first week or two,
forget it.
Oh my God,
you caught at least a couple spoilers.
I got beforehand.
I remember when didn't the New York Times spoil the Batman Catwoman wedding that it didn't work out?
Yes, that's right.
They did. And they pissed off a lot of retailers, if I remember right.
It's weird when comic book spoilers make like national news.
It is.
Yeah, it really is. I hate that though too, because why are you guys spoiling this? People want to read it. It's
Death
it's
of Superman. It falsely inflated the cost of this and the rarity of this book that was overprinted.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I've always wondered, who thought that Superman was really going to stay dead? I don't care if you're a comic book fan or not. You seriously think they're just going to kill him off for the rest of the time?
It's just economics. They're not print Superman books.
Doesn't make any sense.
Well, Patrick, even when that was coming out when I was younger and in high school, I was like, no one's going to care about this because he's going to come back in a few months. But then when I went to the store, it was like, oh my God, it was
unbelievable.
Grand Central Station in there, everybody coming in to get a copy, and I'm like, oh my God, give me one. I was just I was at the FOMO, I had to get one.
Totally.
Well, it was marketed and played off like it was this key issue you had to have because there was going to be a value to it, which there really
that
wasn't.
was the main reason it sold well. Is people were like, what if this is the last Superman comic, the last Clark Kent we see? Oh no.
Then, we talked about it on a recent show, but then the next thing that I remember making national news after that was the death of Captain America.
Yes.
And that kind of helped spike the sales of those books, and I think comics at that time just realized, oh, hey, well, we can just start killing off major characters and the news is going to talk about it. Hey, can we kill Spider-Man next? What's the deal?
Well, they did cover it when he got married, they covered it.
Yeah, that too.
Oh,
but it's always a temporary bump though, right?
Yeah.
Gives you that little boost for a moment.
But they won't try to assassinate Mickey Mouse. They won't touch Mickey Mouse at all.
The Captain America one was the first one I realized, okay, this is not for real. It was when I remember when Hawkeye died, it was a big deal.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, Hawkeye came back, it's cool. And once Captain America died, I was like you went too far. That's exactly what you're talking about.
Well, I mean, good examples. Patrick had mentioned Crisis on Infinite Earths earlier. Good examples of dying then coming back are The Flash, Supergirl, where the Flash died. It wasn't until he's gone. As readers, he's dead, but then Jeff Johns starts writing and it's retcon stuff. But for 23 years, Barry Allen is gone or dead. For 23 years. Supergirl the same way. Supergirl was gone at least 15 years. And people will say, well, she was in some 90s stuff. It was Matrix. Matrix was disguised as Supergirl. Yeah. And then eventually that was revealed. So that sort of stuff is better where you have that time where it's not, hey, this person's dead. Then 6 months later, it's no. The biggest example, we're talking about deaths of why does this matter? Miss Marvel, a year or two ago, where it said Kamala Khan was going to die. Right. And then before that issue came out, solicitations of the She's Back comic came out. It's
I remember the entire fandom called her coming back as a mutant. Like everybody, it was just this is obvious that that's what they're going to do.
One of the silliest deaths and rebirths I've ever seen. I think
it was ridiculous.
So it's funny at work. There's coworkers who are peripheral fans because they watch the movies, which gives me an opportunity to talk about like the comic side of things. And sometimes they find fascination in it. Oh, who's Red Hulk? What's this? What's that? And one of the things I actually mentioned today was that there's characters that they don't bring back from the dead that they never really touched. Bucky was one of them until the Winter Soldier. The other one was Uncle Ben, and they ended up bringing him back too. But those were like two kind of mainstays that they never brought back. It's just you won't expect to see those ever come back. And sure enough, they found really interesting ways.
And they killed off Aunt Jemima too.
They killed off Aunt Jemima
and Uncle Ben.
R.I.P. to Aunt Jemima.
I mean, really.
I remember reading a Wizard article, and they had 3 characters that would never come back, and they were Bucky, Uncle Ben, and Gwen Stacy.
All 3 of them. And one of them turned into a spider power person.
Well, that's one that I'm okay with because it was done so well.
Yeah,
and Brubaker is
it's phenomenal
writer.
Yeah,
phenomenal writer. And I also got to say, another one that was done right, and that normally I would say this sucks, but when Judd Winnick brought back Jason Todd as the Red Hood, like and it was actually really good. Like,
that was really good.
It was like those are 2 times I can say that I was okay with a character coming back.
I think Spider-Man wasn't bad too because it was like Dan Slott said from the very beginning, he's coming back. Like he was a ghost in Superior Spider-Man 1, so they knew it was like okay. But he said obviously Peter Parker's not staying dead, but that whole journey was very cool.
Yeah.
So you're talking about when he was taken over by Doc Ock and all that? Yeah,
because he was still there. He was just taking a back seat.
Yeah, so
he was like Bruce Banner in the Hulk body, right?
Yeah. So it wasn't like he died. It was like a wink, wink. Yeah, he's dead, but we're saying in the very next issue, he's obviously coming back.
Right. Well, it's always about like how do you know it's going to happen? How do you get there? And that's the interesting part. And some people do that part better than others.
Yeah, I absolutely agree on that.
I think even better than Doc Ock when Spider-Man came back was how Doc Ock brought back. I thought that was awesome.
That was cool.
Very good stuff. But yeah, so like since Patrick and Frank are new to the channel, like how long have you guys been creating comics?
About 10 years. I know that because once my son was born, I was like, so I had written scripts before that, but I just never really decided to make them. And then once he was born, I was like, you know what? My son's here. I want to show him that I made these things, this stuff. And so I could always say, how old is he? Well, he's actually 12. So I guess it took 2 years for my first book to come out. But once he was born, it was like, I'm going to start the process.
Oh, wow. Okay. And how about you, Patrick? How long have you been making comics?
Since I picked up that issue of Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Oh, no kidding.
I mean, I'm being kind of tongue in cheek, but when middle school, a bunch of friends of mine, we had our own superhero universe that we created.
Same here, man.
We would go to my dad's office and we would photocopy them and we'd staple them. We sold them for like $1 for
Did you really?
Subscriptions. Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
We did like 4 of them. We actually got in like the local paper and that kind of thing. The local paper being like the town paper, not like the nearest big city paper. But it was still cool for us.
For sure.
And then
that's awesome, dude. Like, did you actually put them in stores too, or
no?
Oh, okay.
No, I would be really. I still have a couple of them, and looking at them, I was like, oh,
I have all the ones I made throughout high school, and it was like I did them mostly from my friends, like you said, but like because they wanted to be in the comics, so I was just like, all right, let me just make me and my friends as superheroes, but I would write it like Chris Claremont's X-Men or something. I would write it,
right.
You would have these storylines with these wacky villains, and it would like carry on for a few issues. And things
I actually
like
have a couple of my friends too, but they're not really appropriate.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. I read them now, and I'm horrified by.
I also didn't let them know about it.
I was like, "What's that? What'd you say, Brandon?"
I was saying with Harry, I also didn't let them know about it.
No, we knew about it. We're all inappropriate together.
Oh my god! One of them, this is so bad. Like my history teacher had crutches because he's like had polio when he was a kid.
Oh,
oh my God, one of the issues I have him as like he's almost like the Punisher, but like he has these guns coming out of his like crutches, and I'm like, holy shit. I'm just like, oh my God, it's so bad.
That reminds me of being a kid in middle school and not doing the book report. But instead, what I would do is just write a sequel to the movie I just watched and submit that. So somewhere in this house, I have my copy of Terminator 3.
Nice.
From my
probably
best grade book report. What's that?
It's probably better than the one they actually released.
Probably.
So the way they defeat the T-1000 is by locking him in a safe, so he can't get out.
Not even through the cracks, or did you
Not
have
even through the cracks.
airtight? It must have been
Airtight and sink to the bottom of the ocean.
Nice.
I like it. That's awesome. I mean, yeah, I guess we all are same in that way that we were creating when we were little, and that's great. Oh, Brandon, I know you've been doing comics, 5 years, something like that? 5,
yeah,
6?
regarding writing comics, I started writing comics in 2019. Didn't start publishing till 2021, but it was one of those things where I got out of high school in 2015, started writing as a hobby. I was writing screenplays and stuff at that time. But then I was like, oh, did I just like writing all of a sudden? But then you look back in retrospect, you're like, oh, no, like here's an instance, here's an instance. I don't know where it's at. I think I have it put up. The biggest example of that for me was when I was 10 years old, I published a comic. I put publishing, or not a comic, a book, actually. I published it. What it was my school had this program where you pay like $50 and you can write a story and they'll publish it in this hardback book. Complete ripoff. Because it's a piece of crap hardback book and scammed a ton of parents and kids out of $50. But it is a memory. But it was essentially 10-year-old me writing a Joyride Texas Chainsaw Massacre ripoff sort of thing.
Okay.
It was combining those, and I had awful handwriting. I wrote it in like one of those flip notebooks. I wrote it in that, and then how they printed the thing, you didn't type it and then they print it. You wrote it on this paper, this line paper, then they'll scan it and then bind it, sort of thing. I had awful handwriting. I still do have awful handwriting. So I went to my mom and I was like, hey, Mom, could you write what's in this notebook word for word on this paper? So she writes it. And I don't know if I've talked to her about it before, but I'm just thinking she read every single word that her 10-year-old son wrote. And it's pretty messed up stuff because it's Joyride meets Texas Chainsaw Massacre. To where at that time, I'm just imagining she's probably writing. She's like, oh, God, we might have to. We got to check in on Brandon, sort of thing. This isn't good. Yeah, but and I still have
about
that.
Brandon.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It's a great memory, but like, thank you, Mom, for being so supportive. But I am surprised, like, you didn't show your worry more, or at least I didn't see it.
You didn't get shipped off to a school or something.
Yeah.
Right?
Surprisingly, I didn't. Yeah.
I didn't realize that you were a nursing student at one point there.
Yeah. I
Were you really, Brandon?
hated it. Yeah.
Did you watch a lot of horror growing up?
I love horror.
That's the thing, is not really, not entirely. My cousin was huge into horror, and my parents wouldn't really let us watch like rated R movies and stuff. But our uncle, he's fine with whatever, and he lives down the block. So whenever our cousin would come over, she was like 13, we'd go with our uncle to the video store. And I remember renting like Wrong Turn 1, Wrong Turn 2, Wrong Turn 3. I remember renting, never saw a single Saw movie. I remember us renting Saw 3 when I was like 9 years old or something.
Whoa.
9 or 10 years old.
Wow.
I'd never seen a Saw movie. And that's one of the most like gruesome ones, is the third one.
Yeah.
I think one of the reasons why this time of year is like super scary is that, if you're a chainsaw massacre guy, or axe murder, is your time of year. You can walk around with an axe or
or you don't look suspicious at all.
You're right.
That's why Halloween was such a great movie.
Like
right.
Yeah.
Like I was driving home from work and I saw like many skeletons in people's yards. I'm like, that could be a real skeleton. Nobody would ever know.
Yeah, true.
I don't know.
True.
Yeah.
Be careful.
I love horror too, and it's shockingly I don't write anything horror though. Like it's all ages, but I love it. Like I've seen so much of it.
The reason I asked you, Brandon, because if my daughter handed me something like that, I'll be like, yeah, that makes sense. We watch everything together.
I don't know if my parents knew that I was watching like Saw 3 at my uncle's house and stuff. So it was probably more alarming for my mom.
Yeah.
But you turned out fine though, Brandon. You seem pretty normal.
I hope so.
Right.
Hopefully, I mean, I think I do, but hopefully everyone else sees that.
No, that's
what I was
awesome.
going to ask you about your nursing background. So, do you ever use any nursing knowledge in your writing at all, or did you retain?
I actually have. Like, ultimately, I hated nursing. That's why I withdrew from the program. But it wasn't one of those things where like I bashed nurses. Like thank you,
just
nurses.
Wasn't for you. Yeah,
it just wasn't for me. I just didn't have a passion for it. Like going into it as a lifelong career. That's what I was going for. Like it just wasn't going to work out. But no, there has been some stuff where I have applied it. Like I've written some horror stuff where like some of the nurse stuff kind of fits in terms of like anatomy and stuff that and various things.
Well, I mean, a lot of our experiences or life experiences or things that we see firsthand can, inform and inspire us. And, that's where we kind of, at least like, that's where I pluck some of my ideas. So seeing things for real and then just thinking, oh, this scenario or that scenario is, where you find your next story or whatever the case may be.
Like with farts.
Right, exactly.
Farts. Yeah. Bingo.
That's a good segue.
There you go.
I love a good callback.
Yeah,
who doesn't
fart? Circle here.
Right. Everybody
There's some
farts.
Great comments here. I want to say hello to a couple people too. BMD Nerd is with us. He's like, I had to lean digital when it comes to comics, and I mainly buy indies. That's great to hear. He also remembers the news when Superman or Cap turned their back in the U.S. and people were hot. I remember that.
I mean, like just a few years ago. Like that happened just a few years ago where Cap was a part of Hydra.
Remember that?
People lost their shit. I was like, what is happening? Have you people never heard of comics before? It was another one where I was like, I don't know why everyone is so insane over this. It's gonna change.
I know, right? Like it's just a storyline. Yeah,
right.
People get crazy.
I can understand how it's offensive to see the symbol of America saying "Hail Hydra," which is pretty much the equivalent of a Nazi. You know what I mean? But I can see how people get upset about that.
I get, but like outside of comic readership, like okay, I get it, maybe, but like fanboys were absolutely livid.
Exactly.
And you know that comics are cyclical. Whatever writer is on it, it could last a year, 6 months, it could last 5 years, but it will eventually get reset. The status quo will get reset.
Of course, it's like a sitcom. At the end of every one, it's going to be the same again.
Yeah, just like right now we're in the middle of when's the Justice League coming back because they've been gone for like 2 years. Like that's coming around at some point.
I can't remember who it was, but the editor on the book, I think what aggravated so many people is they were like, "Is it a fake Captain America?" And he was like, "No, it's the real one. It's Captain America."
Yeah. I forget how they resolved that whole thing. I didn't even. I wasn't reading Cap at that time.
Is that what caused the LA riots? Or
yeah, I think so. It might have been the cause. American Demon is with us. What's up, man?
Hey,
Good
awesome.
to see you here. Amy Birdhouse had a question here. Brandon, did you get called to the guidance counselor's office?
No, I did get called to the guidance counselor's office in 3rd grade for selling a Game Boy Advance, but that's a separate thing.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
You sold a Game Boy Advance in school,
and I got in trouble for it. I had an extra Game Boy Advance. This person I knew wanted it.
Capitalism. Like
seriously,
well,
guys got to make a living.
I needed the cash. I needed to buy more Yu-Gi-Oh!
Oh man, I don't even want to tell you what.
I would Xerox Mortal Kombat moves and codes and sell those in school for $20 a pop to my friends.
Nice.
Elementary
Didn't get
school
in trouble
black
for
market,
that.
you know, just
Johnny, did you?
I swear to God. I swear to God Almighty.
Oh, so you want to hear what I did? This
What'd
might
you
be
do?
the
What'd
worst
you do?
of all. Me
Well,
and
it's better
my
than something
buddy.
smack. Can I just say that right
Me and
now?
my buddy worked at McDonald's in high school. Like we worked at 2 different McDonald's that were kind of close by. And back in the day, remember the Monopoly game that McDonald's had?
Yeah.
But they, you know how they put it on like the cups and the fries and everything. Back then it was just pieces, you know, like just.
I
and
remember.
They would come in these huge boxes. Like McDonald's would lock them up. But like I was one of the managers, and my buddy was one of the managers too. So we'd open up the box, we'd take huge handfuls of those tickets, stuff them in our pocket, go to go to school the next day, and we'd be like, "Hey, 10 for $1," you know, and like we'd be like, we were selling them to kids. I was like, "Come on, it's $1. You'll at least get a Big Mac, you know. Come on."
You guys wearing trench?
Oh my god, we were like little shysters, dude.
Yeah, I got some. Look, I got some Monopoly pieces over here.
It's your fake Rolexes.
Yeah, right. Different time, gentlemen. Different time.
It was a different time. I used to be able to go into a store and swap price tags and check out.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I had a few little mischievous things in the past.
I think we all have. I mean, I don't know if I've ever done that, but like the Monopoly thing was pretty bad, you know. But well, that's funny, man. I love the good old days, you know. Just reminiscing.
Yeah.
Let me see. There's no other.
You mean like last week? No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, right. So we'll definitely look at the campaigns here soon. So like, you guys like Frank. So you said you've done a bunch of comics. What are some of your other comics like besides the
other bodily functions or burping?
One of my favorite directors is Danny Boyle, and because he bounces around a lot. You know, he's done
the train spotting guy, right? And,
he's done 28 Days Later,
28 Days Later.
Sunshine, Life of Pi. So he's like, I never want to do the same type of story once. I'm that way with the comics that I make. So I'm all over the place. I have a sci-fi adventure series called Polar Paradox that I'm wrapping up in 2 years. My big series is called Grim Space. That's kind of like a mashup of fairy tales and like a Star Wars-esque universe. So I'm giving a different spin to Pinocchio and Cinderella and Jack and the Beanstalk. That's my big series. I'm doing all Grim Space stories next year.
Nice.
But I've done horror and comedy and all sorts of different stuff.
Oh, that's great. And do you Kickstart them all, or do you?
Yeah. So I started small. I had like 2 campaigns a year. And I'm like, I want to make more books. So then I did 4. I'm like, how many can I fit into a year? So for the past, I guess, 3 years, I've done 6 a year.
Wow.
And technically I did 7 because I did 1 on Backer Kit just to kind of try it out because as part of that whole
what was the experience with them? How was it?
It was so they have obviously a lot less campaigns than Kickstarter. So there's a lot more hand holding and customer service.
Now, do they take a bigger chunk of the pie too?
I don't think so. I think as far as numbers is strictly crowdfunding, it's about comparable, but they don't have the Kickstarter ecosystem. So a lot of times Kickstarter will just feed itself campaigns and you'll get a lot of success through that. Backer Kit doesn't have that growth yet. So,
man, wow, 6 campaigns a year. That's crazy. I
sounds
can't even
daunting.
imagine the amount of emails you get for people wanting to help you with your campaign, right?
Frank, is this full time for you, or do you do something else?
I do other writing. So I write for media outlets and stuff, and I write so
that's
like
cool.
PR releases. So I work with words. That's kind of what I
good.
tell people.
So you make a living at this.
Yeah, it helps having a wife who works too.
That's kind of the boat I'm into, Frank. I do work part-time a couple days a week, but I do make enough at this with lettering and my own stuff to kind of survive, which is good, and conventions and things like that. I know I can't imagine doing 6 Kickstarters a year. I can't even imagine doing one. One a year is a tough for me. Like
I think the key is preparing far enough in advance. Like I know what campaigns I'm going to run in 2026, and I'm already like I'm writing the scripts, I'm getting the artwork. So if everything is done enough ahead of time, it's not all that much work all at once.
I just find building the campaign is very, although it's getting easier because I save a lot of older like pics of stuff that I'm going to resell. Like I save those, and this one was a lot easier to put together than my past one. So
a little confession. My graphic image of like my pie chart of what all the funds are going to go to is the same one for every campaign. So there's a lot of copy and paste. There's a lot of, once you get in the groove of doing it over and over and over again, it becomes a lot easier.
I'm curious, since you do a lot like that, are you seeing, because the pattern I was seeing with crowdfunding for the last few years, if you build a readership, are you seeing growth in every campaign? Like, are you making more in each successive campaigns?
I'm weird because since I jumped so much through different types of books, I do a lot of one shots, a lot of two-parters, a lot of different genres, crossovers. I'm not building that same thing as if I was like, I'm on issue 12, you know? So I don't have a lot of crossover, but the crossover that I do have, the fans that I do see back my comedy books, my horror books, my adventure books, I feel that much more of a connection to them because they're they're like, Frank, whatever you put out, we're going to read. And I'm like, I don't know why, but thank you.
That's awesome.
And I was thinking, like, since you are like bouncing everywhere, you're bringing in more fans, because like someone might not be a fan of this genre, but then like this, like a comedy, it's like, oh heck yeah, like so I think you're able to bring in a lot more people.
Is that what you find too, because you do the same kind of thing, right? You write horror books too, right?
And I continue to write prose too, so I put out a whole bunch of novels as well, so I kind of have that. I live in both worlds.
Are you
I'm a bit of a day walker.
Are you self-published with your novels, or do you have an agent?
I think all of my novels at this point are with smaller indie publishers. I haven't worked with any bigger publishers, which helps because I'm just like, I write the thing and you do the thing. But I'm getting to the point now where I write stuff and I never think about what to do with it afterwards. So I have a lot of unpublished comic scripts. I have a lot of unpublished novels. So I'm like, I want to start self-publishing these. So I'm going to try to put my first one out next year.
Yeah, no, I can't imagine like not having more is a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, just especially if you can't find a home with like an indie publisher, why not put it out yourself? That's what Kickstarter and all these crowdfunding is great for. Yeah. It's a great distribution model, you know, it really is. It gets it into people's hands. There's no bullshit, you know, it goes right to them, you know, so.
The publishing category is definitely a lot more of a battle. So but I think I have a lot of experience from the comics category, and I also have a lot of comics fans that do read novels. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Well, I feel like novels are, I mean, that industry is the same as comics. It's a smaller industry because less people are reading. And so we're all fighting for that same audience in a lot of ways, you know. And it's so easy to do both now that there's so many more people making comics and not enough readers are coming back to comics, which I hope that changes. You know, I hope that changes in the
But it makes sense. A lot of people love comics so much. They're like, I have a story. I think everybody who reads comics has that story, you know, and it's become easier than ever to try to do it. So that's why we've seen that.
Frank, I wanted to ask, how many years have you been doing multiple campaigns in a year?
I don't know.
Much that you don't know.
My very first series was a series called Modern Testament. I did 4 issues, and then I put a trade together, and it was with an indie publisher who's now defunct.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking at his Kickstarter. He's created 29.
So I put a trade together for that, and that was my very first book. And after that, I'm kind of like, this Kickstarter thing is a way for me to put comics out without a publisher. And I think I did 2 the very next year. That might have been 2019.
With the volume of campaigns you've run, I'm very curious to know, and I don't know if you're willing to share or not, but what has your financial growth trend looked like? And have you seen a downturn specifically in this economic year?
this year and last year have been pretty bad with everything, I think.
You know what? I'm not the person to answer that question, and I'll tell you why. It's because I know the Kickstarter trends, and I don't launch projects based on them. So, for instance, I have an all ages book right now. I know all ages does terrible on Kickstarter, just like historically speaking. But I'll still put out the book because the book is about my son, and I care more about putting on a book about my son than what the economic what the trends are. But if you research Kickstarter a lot, if you see what's doing well and what's not doing well, you'll see stuff that's trending up and stuff that's trending down. Overall, I think that the kind of the pandemic years that a lot of publishers and creators are seeing a boom, that's kind of shrinking. So if I think that's a kind of a long answer to your question.
But I do like that you're not following the trends though. Like, I mean, I don't think like any creator should ever do that. Like, you know what I mean?
I think it's good to know what the trend is so you can kind of buck the trend, right?
Yeah.
Know the rules.
That's
what Tarantino says, know the rules so you can break them.
Yeah.
So, was that? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Harry. What were you going to say?
I was wondering where everybody was from. Like, where you guys located?
Well, Patrick is from Mass, right? Massachusetts.
Yep. I'm in the Worcester area.
Area.
Yeah, we're all
Worcester kid.
Worcester brother. Come
Frank,
on.
I'm not sure where you're from.
Can you guess by my accent? Because I'm always talking to people, and they're like, "I could tell." I
not
could tell.
Jersey.
Like, no.
Jersey, no.
I can't tell.
I live in the suburbs outside New York City. So
okay.
Not really Jersey, but it could be Jersey. I guess.
Okay.
But
Brandon, you were, I forget where.
I live in North Florida, which is basically an extension of South Alabama. Pretty much. Where I am.
Are you on the handle?
Yeah. I'm near Pensacola.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we get people from all over the place, which is great. One of these days, we'll see you at a convention there, Brandon. You know?
Yeah.
Sure. That's what stinks where I am is like I'm not Central Florida, I'm not South Florida, so I don't get a convention every other week. I have slim pickings in terms of conventions that are like 4 to 5 hours away, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But I hope to do like some bigger ones. I've done like a fan expo before, but I hope to do Heroes Con next year.
Oh, that'd be nice. Yeah, I'd like to get back to that show one of these days.
Same.
I did like that show a lot as far as a comics fan goes. It's the best show you can find. There's literally nothing there but comics and artists, which I love.
That's awesome. It's a comic convention about comics.
Yeah.
As insane of a thought that is.
Shockingly, that is a rare thing.
Yeah.
You know, like San Diego Comic-Con.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Do you guys?
I did San Diego
10 years because I met him at Wicked this year. You said, do you do cons, Frank, or no?
I do sometimes. I try to. It's tough when you have 3 kids and a wife who works, and you like spending time with them. So it's
right.
And I mean, I'm going to be at New York Comic Con. I actually have a press pass this year, so that's
great.
That's kind of cool.
Go see Johnny and George. They'll be at what booth again, Johnny?
Small Press 2040. Come on by. We're in that little like annex that kind of connects the main floor to the area where they put like the Geico vendor. So we're like in that little like small press like split like walkthrough or whatever.
Nice.
Patrick, you said did you just say that you do San Diego as well?
I did San Diego for about 10 years.
Wow.
I used to have a publishing company called Comic Works. We were predominantly online, but we also did some anthologies and some one-offs. And so from between like 99 through 2009, I did San Diego just about every year.
Oh, wow.
And I saw it in that time go from 75% comics to mostly showbiz. And the Marvel universe hadn't even really started to take off yet, but it was just in the first parts.
Yeah, I feel like things exploded in 2012.
Yeah.
Like that's when I noticed
with the
convention
Avengers
had changed.
Yeah.
And it was like not just comics anymore. It was like, right when that first Avengers movie came out, when the popularity was like sky high.
When you could no longer walk into the show and buy tickets for the following year, that was when it was just out of control.
Yeah, I agree. But I mean, all these new fans, like we were like, if you were setting up at conventions at that time, we were doing really well. Like for those couple of years, it was really a lot of money coming into the shows. And then once the convention started catering more to celebrities and cosplay and everything else, it just kind of crashed it all.
So having read the comics, all through your childhood, what do you guys think of what's become of the movies? Did it turn out? I mean, they can never be as amazing as the comics, but what do you think of the end products, like of the movies?
Sometimes they can be like, I don't know. Sometimes I find the movie better than the book, I don't know. Depends on the circumstance. Like, like I'll take Batman the Animated Series any day over the comics like that are coming out now because it's so much better.
And also, like you mentioning TV shows, going into indie comics, The Boys TV show, I wasn't a fan of the last season 4, but The Boys TV show is better than the comic.
That's what I hear.
The TV show.
I don't think so. I think the comic might be better in that case. I've read the whole thing from beginning to end. It's different. It's very different.
I might have a personal bias. Like, I love Garth Ennis. I love his Punisher Max stuff. Like, I love his writing.
He hates superheroes.
That's my issue with it. Like, he's not hiding it. He absolutely hates superheroes. He thinks they're stupid. We need to pants them. All that sort of stuff. That's my issue with him.
Yeah. So if you like superheroes and you read a Garth Ennis thing, you're not gonna. Yeah. It's you're probably gonna be disappointed. But I love that the comic was way more graphic and offensive than the show was.
Look at Preacher, and it was the same thing. It was kind of just a milquetoast version of what us comic fans read.
Yeah,
and appreciated, So, and I think that's the other thing too, and I think that's one of my main contentions with adaptions. And I started to learn to love these adaptions a little bit more when I started just divorcing them from the comics. Like I was pulling my hair out over episodes of Walking Dead where they were just missing these awesome beats from the comic that could have easily played on TV that they didn't. Like one of the things that I point to in the Walking Dead comic books is that page turn when you turn the page and we all find out that, spoiler alert, we are all the Walking Dead. And the look on, I know, right? And the look on Rick's face, and he's all patched up. It was just such a poignant moment in the book. And when they replicated it in the TV show, it was nothing. It was like it fell flat. And it was just like, you could have done it so well by just following the blueprint. And then, I point to something like Sin City, where they followed it to a T. And I enjoyed that a lot. But then people's complaints were, well, if I want to, watch
too much like the comic,
right? If I'll just read the comic book, right?
Yeah, that was when I realized you can't please any fans,
right?
But that's the thing is with that Sin City movie. Yes, it goes so close to the comic, but as a movie, it's so different compared to other movies. Just like the style of it, to where like at least people should be able to appreciate, like, hey, this looks different than anything else I've seen, sort of thing.
Yeah, I feel like that was a comic book movie made for non-comic book fans. Right. So let's see how we can almost literally translate it to a live action movie.
I point to Watchmen in the same kind of vein.
Yeah. Which did not work for me.
No.
Yeah,
neither did I.
And then
one of my main contentions. All right, we opened up the Watchmen can, so I'm going to say it right now.
No, I'm going to become an enemy in this conversation. I can see it already.
No, you won't. One of my biggest contentions.
I was like, good. Phew, I thought we were done with Watchmen, and then you're like, no, we're going to bring it back.
I got to say the one thing. It's so dumb at the end of that movie for Ozymandias, I believe, to say all that stuff to Lori, I think it is, at the end of the movie. Where it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. She has no impact on things. Where in the book, I believe he says it to Dr. Manhattan. And in turn, that has more of an impact. It's more poignant. It actually has relevance, where it's just like a throwaway thing with Lori. Anyways, we can put a knife in it. I'm done. I just had to say that part. And
wasn't Negan in that movie too?
Yeah, he was.
He was.
Yeah.
I will say, I actually think the long ass cut of Watchmen is better than the one they released.
Yeah,
in
the director's cut.
I will never know because I will not watch it.
Okay.
I am such a Watchmen nerd. I've watched the entire motion comic, which is like 12 hours long.
Wow.
I think they have an hour for every for
I
every
love the
episode.
comic though. The comic is king in my book. I mean, the movie I like it okay, but like, yeah, the comic was where it's at for me.
Well, there's so many elements of the comic that you can't really capture onto the movie. They were able to capture a decent bit, but they're not able to really capture like a lot of the meta-ness of like talking about comics. Like that's a big part of Watchmen is like that meta-ness, and you can't really translate that into a movie.
Yeah.
As well as like all the supplementary material within Watchmen. You get to the end of an issue and you have all the files and the book notes and stuff. You can't have that in the movie, sort of thing.
I agree, but I appreciate the attempt. They didn't do it, but so that Watchmen version where they had
it's
the
best
animated
it probably could have ever been.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think
also the Tales of the Black Freighter. They did the animated, and then they released a cut where they actually spliced it.
Yeah,
into
that's the one I'm
movie.
talking
I'm
about.
like, good job, nice try. I mean, it's
Yeah.
okay, but like, I like that you're trying.
Yeah.
The longer version with that stuff in it actually makes the pacing of the movie actually better, which is even crazy because it's longer. But like it was just better for me. I don't know. I like that version. That's the only one that's the version I'll watch if I ever
I've
watch
only
it.
seen the director's cut, so I haven't seen the theatrical.
Oh, okay. You're probably better off. The theatrical was more cut up, but anyways, moving on. Moving on.
We digress.
Yeah, we talk
Watchmen
about
always
comic.
does it.
Yeah, it'll
Yeah,
do
right.
it. It's a hot button.
Polarizing. Yeah, for sure.
We talk
Well,
comic
I think we. I
adaptations
don't
all
know.
day.
I was just gonna say I don't know about you guys, but I think maybe we should pull up some of the campaigns and take a peek, right?
Yeah, I'd
Let's
like to go over all of them. Anyone want to volunteer to be first, or because we're gonna look at all three?
I'll go first. Sure.
I was
All
gonna say
right.
rock paper scissors. This.
That's
All
more
right,
fun.
hang
No, I'd rather do
Do
that instead.
All right, give me
Should we
one
rock
sec
paper
here.
scissors? That would be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, you want to do it?
All right, I'll call rock paper
This
scissors.
is gonna take
you guys
forever
have
because
to
there's three
shoot.
people.
You guys have to shoot. We'll do it. We'll do one round, right?
Right,
Or
okay.
wait, do
Yep.
we have to do 2 rounds?
Well,
Anyways, well, let's just do it. All right, right? Ready? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
It was scissors.
No,
And we all
Oh.
no. All right, I'm just gonna call it. Let's do Patrick first.
All right.
Patrick,
Ready,
let's bring you up
Patrick?
first.
All right.
Hang on.
Throw it into present mode.
We tried. We
No,
tried.
I
That's
got
the
it
best we could do.
here.
At least we tried.
Bring it up, and then
Oh, you do? Okay.
And then like, if we look at some of your, if you have some of the pages on there, we could check.
Yeah,
that
if
out.
you have any material that you want to share on your screen, feel free to cue it up while we're going through this.
Okay.
So
No, I
this
think
is the
Oh, sorry,
book
go
I
ahead.
picked up from Patrick at Wicked Comic Con, which I apologize, Patrick. I have not had a chance to read. My
Come on.
backlog is so long
No,
that I
totally
want
get
to
it.
read it.
Totally
It's
get
at the
it.
top. So eventually I got there.
I know my to read pile is like falling over next to the
Yeah,
chair.
that's
over
where
there.
I'm at. So,
Yeah.
So
I get it.
that's
I
what
get
that stack of Kickstarters that are unopened over here.
I've got that right here too.
awesome. Yeah, but so tell us, give us the elevator pitch for Bixby Grant.
Sure. So the high level concept is kind of Hellboy meets the Spirit or the Shadow with the tone of Batman the Animated Series. So it's an all ages book, which is to say it's not made for kids, but could be is appropriate for kids.
Oh, nice! You got a project we love too. I just noticed that.
Yeah, we were
That's
lucky.
great, man.
We got
Nice.
that the day or two after we launched.
That's
So that
great.
was we're it's going really well so far. Tomorrow will be the 1 week anniversary. But the this is the second issue.
Yeah,
of
you're on a good trend.
Yeah, it's
too.
pacing well.
Yeah,
pacing well.
so far, fingers crossed, we're looking good. But the idea, this is the second issue in a 6-issue series called Fangs and Brimstone, which is basically, I should back up. Bix is a mummy, and he's a private eye. He's immortal. He was a 1920s beat cop who broke up a museum heist and triggered the curse of the pharaoh and became a living mummy. So he couldn't pass the police physical anymore, so he became a private detective. And over the years, it takes place modern day, but he's had adventures throughout World War II and the 50s, the 60s, and I have story ideas for all those decades, but this takes place current day in what's called Harbor City, which is where he lives, the fictitious city where he lives, where in the 100 or so years since he became a mummy, it's become kind of a hub for supernatural creatures and wizards, warlocks, demons, all that kind of fun stuff. So so currently what's going on in this story is there's a series of murders in Harbor City, they look like they were done by a cult. They have kind of the paint on the floor with the candles and the whole thing. And it somehow ties back to something from Bix's brother 100 years ago. He busted up when he was a cop. He busted up a cult ritual that turned out to be run by his brother. So it's dragging up a bunch of unresolved issues that he's had for 100 years. And being of the greatest generation, he doesn't really deal with feelings, right? So he's pretty grumpy about it. And Diego, who's the vampire character, the rockabilly vampire, he's not really a sidekick in this, but it is kind of more of a, whereas my first OGN was more of a noir mystery, this is more of a buddy action mystery. So
cool.
So he's joined by Diego, who is kind of a gregarious, outgoing kind of guy. So that kind of play the two characters off one another, because Bix does not want to talk, does not want to deal with any of this stuff, and Diego's like, "Hey, what's the matter with your brother? What's the problem? Come on!" And he's like, "No, we're not dealing with this." So they do get kind of intertwined through happenstance in this story, and now they're trying to solve the mystery. So it's gonna, like I said, this is part 2 of a 6-issue series, and so we're just really starting to get to know who the potential leads are and what's really going on, and get a sense of where the story might be going.
Speaking of Watchmen, he's very Rorschachian.
He is.
Yeah.
Yes.
Got that vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. I get people say, "Oh, is it Darkman?" I'm like, "No, it's not Darkman." They're like, "Oh, is it Unknown Soldier?" I'm like, "No, it's not Unknown Soldier."
No.
Is it
I love that people will at least reference Darkman.
Yes.
Yeah, Darkman.
I get that a lot, actually.
I love that.
Well, he does look very similar. I could see that.
He does.
I wouldn't think that, but I know it's a new character and stuff, but
I like the Hellboy-ish of it, like that kind of vibe where he's a detective.
I love good detective stuff.
Yeah, it's very kind of noir, but also gritty. I like it. I'm digging it.
I stopped here because I know Dean Kotz a little bit, and it's
nice. He's great.
His cover is great.
Yeah,
when I was at Alterna, he had a book there called Gods and Gears. And I met him in New York. He's such a sweet guy, just a really nice guy. Yeah. He actually even this is a shout out to Dean he's even recommended me to other people for lettering jobs. So I was able to letter over some of his stuff. So shout out to him. He's an awesome guy. So I'm glad you got a cover by him. He's like one of those talents that totally he's got to pop off soon. He's so good. I
would think he's worked on some great projects for the last 5-7 years. Butcher of Paris, which was I think
that's right,
under the radar Dark Horse series from a few years ago, based on a true story. But yeah, I met him at Terrificon last year.
Oh, nice. Yeah,
and just started chatting him, and here we are. So yeah, he kicked it out of the.
He's great, man. I love his work.
Yeah,
look at that cover, it's so good, man.
And I noticed you also had a pull quote from Cullen Bunn. That's pretty cool.
Yeah,
man.
I saw that in Carl Kestel, was it? Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
Carl, I just met online.
Did you really?
I'm
when back up here.
When I did my first Kickstarter, he just kind of started retweeting some of my stuff, and I was wow. "What's up, Carl?" And so I actually pulled this quote from one of his tweets, and I was like, "Carl, can I use this?" And he's like, "Absolutely, go knock yourself out."
That's awesome. That's awesome.
And then I ended up consulting with him. I just had a phone call. I'm like, "Can I pay you for an hour of your time?" And he's like, "You don't have to pay me. Just give me a call." And so we've become online friends. And I've been reading Carl's work for 25 years.
Yeah.
So that's really cool. And I love Cullen Bunn. So he's a friend of a friend. And so I was able to get him to look at to read the first book. I love The Sixth Gun. It's one of my favorite comics of the last 20 years, to be honest. It's got so many elements to it.
I want to read that one. I heard that was really good.
It's fantastic. It's beautiful too. So I was really, really excited to get him to even consider giving me a quote, let alone such a glowing one.
It's got a real Cullen Bunn vibe to it.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank
I
you.
really like his. He's writing the Gotcha Man revival, and it's really, really good.
Yeah.
Really
He has
fun.
cast such a wide net right now. Like, I don't know if you guys have his newsletter, but he's just like, he didn't say it in these words, but he's like, fuck it. I'm going to try as many things as possible and see what sticks. So I don't, can we swear on here?
If you were to paraphrase, yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so he's just been doing a little of everything. And if you look at his list of published work, it's the volume of it is mind-boggling.
Oh yeah, dude,
and it's all over the place in a good way. Like, he's trying a lot of different stuff.
I had a couple interactions with him on Twitter. One of them was kind of funny because remember, like when he was working for Marvel, he would always he would kind of come in as the guy that would be the major team writing a book, and then he would come in as the second creative team, and usually it was like right at the end of the series, you know, before it got canceled. He would come in and do like a year on the book, and then the book would get canceled, like with Venom.
Yep.
And I was talking to somebody on Twitter. It wasn't him, but we were talking about Cullen Bunn's Venom run and how good it was. But then I said, you know, Cullen Bunn's, he's like the Ted McGinley of comics. Like, he kind of comes to the main guy, and then the books get canceled, you know. And he, like, I think he favorited it. He liked it. He thought it was funny. And then nice. I ended up talking to him when the Empty Man movie came out. Because the movie came out for like a week in the theater, and me and Johnny and Amy were like the only ones that went to see it. It was really, really fucking great movie.
Oh, great movie. Good. Yeah,
really good horror movie. And I just told him on Twitter, I thought this was great, and he was like, "Oh, thanks, man." You know, and we talked a little bit back and forth. But yeah, I like his stuff though. He's good. But yeah, I wanted to get down to these covers. I saw the Dean Kotz one. I wanted to see what your other covers looked like.
Oh yeah, so we have what's called a Zombie Town variant too. The backup story in each of these issues is called Zombie Town.
Okay.
There's a section of Harbor City, kind of like Chinatown or Little Tokyo or whatever, called Zombie Town.
Okay.
And it's basically 5 square blocks of the city where there was a zombie outbreak, and instead of dealing with it, they just kind of fenced it off and left it for dead.
Oh, okay.
This is the cheaper, easier solution. So there's this woman here is Detective Maritza Ramirez, and her father was a famous police captain in Harbor City. She's one of the supporting characters from the main Bix stories. And so I wanted to do something.
Oh, so it's in the same universe then.
It is. Exactly.
Oh, that's cool. That's fun.
And I even stole at the top of this cover from Hellboy. I say from the pages or from the world of Bixby.
Oh, yeah.
Which I blatantly stole off of a Hellboy book, right? So from BPRD or whatever. So her father went missing 20 years ago, and so she's been investigating where he is, and all signs point to him being seen last in Zombie Town. So
oh, cool. I like that, dude. So this is sort of a detective story too.
It is.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a zombie. You know, I couldn't come up with an original take on a zombie story, right? So I don't have any kind of new zombie or anything.
But that's kind of fun. Like if you use them as like backdrop, kind of like
it's more of the setting than it is you know, the feature, right? And so if you can hook people like, oh, I like zombies, great, check this out. It's a horror investigation, basically.
I like that. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. So that's a backup story. So how long is the book? Is like how much is the main story and how many pages are the backup?
It's a 30-page book total, and I do a 20-page main story, 8-page backup, and then I do a 2-page letter column.
Oh, cool! I like that. That's fun, dude. That's great.
The letter column is only available in the single issues. I'm not going to put it in the trade or anything. I want to have something special for people who get the single issues.
I like that. And you do a fold-out poster, Dean's artwork.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yep.
And they got the ketchup tier. Now, if I remember right, like, so is this one of these was a one-shot, right? And then,
correct. Yep, that one.
And then the other one is the first issue and the second one. I think I bought both of them from you.
I think you did.
Yeah. So I'll have to back this one. So, because I'm not sure when I'll see you again. I'd rather buy from you directly where it benefits you rather than like, because I think I told you this at Wicked, like I saw it in That's Entertainment in one of the stores, and I was like, this looks awesome, but I want to meet this guy first and buy it from him personally, you know. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So this looks great, dude. I love stuff like this. So
thanks.
I love you can see noir. I love detective stories, really well done ones, and I love monsters and I love horror. So this is
just in time for Halloween.
Yeah, perfect. This is made for me, dude.
Yeah, that's why I like doing one in the fall. Yeah.
Yep.
You can see
these are all the different covers.
Exactly. We could see for the Wolf She Cried one, we've got one by Jesse Lonergan, who I love and I think is highly underrated.
I love that cover.
And then that's Raphael Albuquerque. Yeah.
Oh, from he works with
he
Brian
did
Azzarello a lot, right? Or
yep.
Is that who? Yeah.
And he also did American Vampire with Scott Snyder.
Yes, with Scott Snyder. That's right.
I think that's what he won his Eisner for.
Did you ever read there's a storyline in American Vampire that's like a detective one.
Yes.
It's in the early issues. That is really good.
It was great. I love that series.
Yeah, it was good. Good stuff.
For the second issue, I'm sorry, the first issue of this series, we've got the main cover, but then we've also got Gabriel Hardman did the pulp action variant there.
Is this one right here?
Yeah. Are you guys familiar with Gabe?
No. What is Gabe?
So he actually did the first appearance of the Red Hulk.
Did he really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He Greg Pak, right? Greg Pak was writing it, and I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure he did the art. But he also did Agents of Atlas back in the aughts. Which was a series that I loved.
I never read that. That's the Warren Ellis one, right? No. I'm thinking of Agents.
No, there was a gorilla character in that book. I forget the character's name.
Yeah, Gorilla Man.
Gorilla Man. There you go.
Yeah. It's a great, really fun read. Honestly. But Gabriel also is a storyboard artist. That's his day job, and he did all the Nolan Batman movies. And he did the latest Indiana Jones movie. He is just a phenomenal artist, and I was really lucky to get him to be able to do a cover for me.
I gotta say, Patrick, I love like all of these covers gives off different vibes. Like the one in the top has Moon Knight, and I see Shadow in the middle.
Yeah.
And then even the one on the right looks like I'm just getting the Purge vibes. Like every single one has a different vibe to it that kind of contributes
it's really
to the whole
cool.
story.
Yeah,
I do like this part on your cover too, like a Bixby Grant mystery. Like you're creating like that Hardy Boy kind of like, like this character is going to be in a bunch of novels, like that kind of thing. I love that.
I based it on a lot of the 60s like dime novels, right? So I'm a designer and I wanted to have like a trade dress for Bix, but I wanted it to be more of a kind of modern take on the traditional stuff, like Hard Case Crime. I don't know if you guys read any of that.
Oh yeah, those are great.
The little yellow bookmark in the top corner with the circle. So I wanted my version of that. So that's kind of
great, dude.
You had mentioned the dime novels, the trade dress where it's like Wolf She Cried, like that. That's what like caught my attention of like, oh, like this feels like jumping into that more modern stuff that I've seen that as like the video game LA Noir and stuff.
Oh yeah,
like
sure.
That sort of stuff. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Is this like bonus comics by other people?
That is a digital bundle. So if you support anything from you can get this for $1, which not many people do. But it comes with every tier after that. So I didn't come up with this idea. I copied it from Kat Calamia and a few other people online.
The best way to run crowdfunding comics.
Right. But this is how you meet other creators. You support other people. They put mine in their campaigns. It's a little way to cross-pollinate. And, for $1 or for free, you're getting 5 great comics that you probably
would never know about. Yeah. That's great. Yeah, this looks great, man.
Thank you.
I love it. So now, is this the only comic you've ever done, or have you done other ones?
Well, I'll try to give you the short answer on that. So I mentioned I had a publishing company 20 years ago or so. I started that company to put out my own comics, including Bixby Grant. But I didn't end up really doing that. I ended up running the company and publishing hundreds of other comics, both online and in print. So this is technically the first that I'm self-publishing of mine, but I did do. I don't think you can see on my shelves back here. No, there's a whole bunch of anthologies that I put out. We even did some illustrated novels as part of Comic Works called Actionopolis. So and then we published another great comic called World of Quest that got turned into an animated show.
Okay.
But this is truly my comic.
Gotcha.
So yes and no.
Gotcha. That's awesome. And then what are you recommending for tiers to people? Like, what's your like sweet spot tier?
It's a pretty simple campaign. Like, I tried to keep it kind of bare bones. So if you've already been reading Bix, I really like the all covers. We had an early bird special for the first 2 days so that you could get all 3 covers for like $10 off of what you would normally pay. Cool. You could still get them. Actually, it was $20 off for the early bird. You could still get them, but it's $5 off what you would normally get by buying them separately.
What a bargain on the early bird, huh?
Oh yeah, yeah. We got to bring them in.
Really is a
Come
bargain.
on,
Like,
hook them while they're young.
Right. That's right. And then if you're new, I really like the catch up, whether it's the digital catch up or if it's the physical catch up, because then you get all the comics, so far, including Wolf She Cried, which is a 72-page standalone story. So cool. you can get the digital catch up, I think, for
it was like almost 20, I think. Or
yeah, that sounds about right. But then you can also get it for $50 for all 3.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yep.
All covers. Oh, that's great. That's
also if you scroll down when you're cover artist Gene Kotz, I think.
Yeah, Dean
looks like Dean looks like a young Hugh Laurie a little bit.
He does. He does. Yeah.
In that picture.
Yeah.
He's not as intense as Hugh Laurie, but no, that's great. No, check it out. Let me paste this link in the chat for people to check out. And then there's some comments here. Let me read those out here. One DS. Hey DS, thanks for joining us. I like the colors on those cover designs. Yeah, they look great.
Thank you.
Look really good. Let me share this link. Also, if you guys are watching this show tomorrow or this week sometime, the links for all these Kickstarters will be in the description of the video. So if you want to check it out and back all our great guests, they all are, they all need some help here. We're making great indie comics. So just give them a shout, check it out. And if you can't get the physical, consider the digital. The digital is very cheap, so.
And I always encourage to back the digital because it makes it easier on the creator to not have to mail stuff out, right?
Yeah, so, absolutely.
Unless you're somebody who really likes holding the physical copy like I do, and the stack of books I have unopened over here, I highly recommend the digital.
Who's saying let's get physical?
Huh?
Livy Newton John.
That'd be perfect song to let's get digital.
Let's get digital.
Digital.
Amy's probably formulating a video as we speak.
Oh, cool.
No, I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying. But yeah. So all right, that looks great, man. I can't wait to off the back it before I get 23 days. I'll have to get that before it goes off. Are you planning on any more shows this year, Patrick? Or
probably not till spring. So with the holidays and kids and life and work, and it's just not in the cards.
Gotcha.
I wasn't able to book for Granite State this weekend, and I wanted to make it down for New York, at least as even just to hang out, but not in the cards this year.
Gotcha. All right. Frank, Brandon, either you guys want to step up or?
I'll go, but I just want to say, Patrick, that's a nice move with the spinner rack with all the Bixby comics in the back.
Oh, yeah.
Your free gift.
I like that.
Billboards everywhere.
Exactly. Thank you. And I got another Bix back here that a guy made for me at a convention at Granite State last year.
Oh, nice.
Awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. All right, so this one is The Fart Bomb, an absurd comedy about a young farting master. Frank, give us the elevator pitch for this one.
I mean, this is a comic about my wacky family. The main character is David, the kind of boy you see right there.
Okay.
And the basic story is he gets pissed at us, he's unhappy, and he farts, and it stinks. And we kind of just go crazy with it. And once he realizes he has a weapon against us, the entire comic becomes him figuring out ways to do it again and again and again and again. And so it's just, the entire book was just me figuring out funny stuff and finding ways to implement it into the comic.
Gotcha.
And that was awesome because, like, I'm just thinking about my kids and what they like reading, and the more ridiculous, the better. So I kind of just started throwing stuff at walls and just seeing what stuck, and it was a lot of fun to put together.
Yeah, this is the kind of. Oh, go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say the art alone looks very much like a cartoon come to life.
Yeah, it does.
It looks like a comic book plus.
It was tough finding an artist for it. I mean, not really tough, but I wanted a specific artist. And comics, I mean, I kind of wanted a children's book feel to it without an actual, but still being a comic.
It. Yeah,
and I found an artist that had done like all ages stuff for DC. He knew kind of the feel to give to this type of book, and I think he did a great job balancing that all ages with the goofiness and the silliness and understanding the assignment.
Yeah, exactly. This does look like one of those all ages comics you see at Barnes and Noble.
I'm always curious, like is the end, like the card, these drawings, the look of the drawings, is it what you pictured in your head before you?
No. So a lot of time, my wife is a blonde. Obviously, that woman is supposed to be my wife. She's not a blonde. Okay. I just wrote the script and I gave it to him and I said, draw these characters. And he said, do you want us to look like you? And I was like, no, they could look like, just draw it how you see it. And I gave him that freedom. And I think it made it all the much better.
Yeah. Did it? No, I got to ask Frank, did this really happen? Did your kid jump in front of you guys like this on the couch and let one rip?
Creative licensing a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, the book gets kind of ridiculous. I didn't know if you want to pull up the PDF that I sent you, but
definitely will,
as a callback, there is a scene where he's dressed as Indiana Jones, looking in temples for farting secrets.
It's a theme night tonight.
I really stretched. Like, I was writing the script seriously. I've never laughed so much while writing before. So
that's great, dude.
That reminds me of like I being a kid watching like Muppet Babies, where they would just have like a cutaway scene where they're going on an adventure that was like the movie of the week, like Indiana Jones or whatever the case may be. Like,
you did a scratch and sniff cover.
I did. So, I mean, I've done a lot of campaigns, so I've talked to a lot of creators. I'm like, what can I do? I have an opportunity here, right? I'm doing comic book. I'm never doing this again. What can I do that's weird and bizarre? And somebody jokingly said scratch and sniff cover, and I'm like, it's not a joke anymore. I'm figuring out a way to do this.
Oh, okay. Because I was gonna say, is there somebody that does these? Like, can make a scratch and sniff cover? Or are you? It's
not a matter of can somebody do it. Can somebody do anything? It's a matter of whether or not I could do this costly enough, right?
Yeah, right.
Sure. Whether or not is economically viable, and I found a way to do it. So, yeah.
I know back in the day they had like a skunk scratch and sniff sticker back when we were growing up, and popcorn. So I'm sure they can do whatever.
Hey, wait a minute. This pie chart, I've seen this
before. No, in all fairness, I have two different versions. I have a light one and I have a dark one. It can't be that light in a horror campaign. It has to be a little darker. So
I gotcha.
It's a little
I love that panel, like I haven't read it, but just like being so panicked where you break the glass to try to get air.
I know that feeling.
Where is it? Down over here? Oh, right here?
No, that one.
That one right there.
Great.
Yeah.
It looks like the comic adaptation of a cartoon that's already made.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it looks like something that's the character designs were meant for like an animated feature. You know what I mean? It looks so cinematic in a way.
Yeah. Amy's Birdhouse said here, fart comedy definitely appeals to 5 to 12 year olds.
It never gets old.
That's the demographic right there.
And the 30 to 90 year old crowd too.
I would say
everyone.
Yeah, right. I think so too. And one thing I wanted to pay you this cover, the A cover,
Yeah.
I do love how the artists use the gas to like separate these almost like panels.
Yeah,
of the people like,
and it looks like a
choking on the
nuclear
gas.
bomb.
Yeah, that's
It
a
looks
I love
nuclear
that.
mushroom.
Yeah, it's
I love it.
fantastic. Great logo and everything too.
It was a lot going back and forth with the cover artists to get the mushroom cloud right, and the logo artists to get the logo just right in the mushroom cloud. It's weird when you like have to talk seriously about design with farts with people.
I was about to ask you, what did you have any weird editor's notes? Because I've had weird editor's notes in comics where it's like, hey, do this instead, have this, make the poop darker or whatever, and then you read it and you're like, what the heck am I writing right now?
I try not to think about it until after the fact.
This looks good though, Frank. Just scrolling through it. Obviously, the book's done, right?
Yeah, the book is completely finished. All my books. So one of the ways I can launch 6 books a year is that they're pretty much done. So I don't have to wait to fulfill. I'm like, as soon as it's done, the day after the campaign ends, I order at the printer. I fulfill, and I try to get everything out before the next campaign starts.
That's really good. Like, I wish I could get to that level. That's something I got to work towards.
Oh, you're getting there. Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, cool.
I
love the hieroglyphics. That's awesome.
Fantastic.
If you want to be the best, you have to learn from the masters.
Yeah, that's true. Great idea.
There's no pun intended here, but like earlier, Johnny was talking about Howard Stern as Fart Man, you know. But I think farting is in the air, you know. Michael Rosenbaum from the actor from Smallville, he has a book. He has a fart book out right now called The Talented Farter, you know, and it's like a comedy. It's like a kid's book too, and like there's like 11 fart sounds in the book. Like if you turn a page, you can push the button for the correct fart for the page you're on, you know. It's kind of funny.
If you go back up a little bit,
fart humor.
I like the factory.
That's my favorite sequence in the book. It's my Osmosis Jones is what it is. You got people inside his body physically making the farts from the beans that he eats.
Nice.
And then they launch it out of the cave opening. You were talking about weird editor's notes. I gave a note to my artist. I said I want it to look less like a butt hole.
Right.
I was like, it can't be that overt. That might have been.
It can't be puckered.
Yeah.
You know what? That might have been a note that like Dennis gave on Dune. You know, it's like with the worm. It's possible.
I can only imagine the notes that Geiger was given on Alien.
Oh yeah,
he's like, okay, all right.
This looks great, dude. I mean, this looks like so much fun. Like I definitely all ages. I mean, I do think this appeals to all ages, like even adults and especially kids. I think kids would love this. Like.
I know kids will love it. It's just a matter of understanding what your platform is. Like Kickstarter might not be the best place to do this. It's just I just happen to be a Kickstarter creator.
I don't even know if there's. I mean, I don't even know if it would work on any other platform because I don't think. Well, I mean, I'm just saying, like, not the theme of the farts, but like all ages in general. Like, it just don't.
Tough.
They should actually make an all ages crowdfunding platform. I think that could work, but I don't.
That would be cool.
That would be cool, Yeah.
We need to get our friends in Global Comics on something like that, just like a kid-friendly platform.
Or like how Zoop is like very like not featured projects, like all ages, if it could be like a crowdfunding just for family kind of comics and ages things or something,
The weird thing is I think that I try to do the kind of children's book thing on Reddit. Yeah. And a lot of the notes I got was farts are weird. Like I thought there was a disconnect between the comic book people and the children's book people. It's like I thought comic people love it.
I know it's so like
hi, I know you want to go out.
Well, that's the plus side with this is like
it's like farts though are so like funny though.
Farts are funny to anyone at any age. They're hilarious to where like yes, a child can pick this up, but also someone who's 20 or 40 can pick it up because of how they see the absurd comedy within it.
Oh yeah, dude, I laugh I watch almost every night on YouTube. Have you guys seen the channel Jack Vale? He goes around. He has like a thing that makes fart sounds. He walks around Walmart.
I'm already
in front
laughing.
of people.
You said
and, like,
fart sounds, and I just started cracking.
Like,
yeah,
he
he walks around Walmart and like he'll fart in front of people, and sometimes he'll get into fist fights. You know, people want to beat him up, but like,
oh my God.
Either people laugh or they just walk away disgusted with them.
I think I've seen
and
those.
It's some of the funniest stuff, man. I love
and
it.
Leslie Nielsen too did that too. Had a little device in his hand.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I was just watching. You guys watch Slow Horses?
Yeah.
And I just saw the first season, and in the first season, there's Gary Oldman. He's having like a clandestine meeting with a spy, and he just farts in the middle of it. And it was just like, what is this show?
I know.
It's just it elevates every scene.
It does. Like I just find it funny. Like and you know, in real life too, it's like, you know, with their family. My father used to fart like crazy and, you know, gas us out of the house. And, you know, I'm sure everybody has something in their life like that, you know.
I was about to say, like, this book is like very relatable. At some time, each person, I'm assuming, has experienced this where like you either like jokingly walked by and crop dusted someone, or someone else did that to you, or if it's someone a loving, like someone you love or whatever, you share a fart.
Yeah,
you walk by.
I do it to Amy too all the time.
Yeah.
The weird thing about the book though is that it kind of goes beyond farts. It's just about family. You know, families annoy each other. And I think that goes to the core of the story that's like a little bit serious, you know, like, so I try to ground all my books in something that has meaning rather than just silly fart jokes, you know?
Yeah, no, I like that. Sure. Like it looks like it's got a nice family thing about it too, which is good. So you ground the humor with that. And yeah, so I put the link in the chat. Everyone should check that out. And I back Frank. This looks like a great project. So
I just backed it.
Appreciate it.
Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah. That's great.
Thanks, Patrick.
You got it.
We usually get a couple people from our show that'll check out some stuff. And, you know, so we moved the needle a little bit here, which is nice.
Just a little bit.
You know, a little bit.
Just a smidge.
That's our big claim to fame, you know.
Get that indie comics bump.
Yeah, exactly. Funny story with farts with me and Amy, though. One time I had read something on like Facebook or Twitter that was saying like, there was like it's healthy to smell farts or something. Like it was like there was like an article there's an article about smelling farts and how it's healthy for you. So Amy was showing it to me and I was like, all right, well, here's your medicine. You know?
Had one loaded and ready to go.
Yeah. I mean, she was kind of asking for it.
Yeah.
And you're just like, you're welcome.
Love you, honey. But
call me the pharmacist.
Yeah, right. Well, that looks great, man. And so everybody should check that out. All right, now let's look at Brandon's The Gallows Man, another comedy here. And this is touted as, was it you said 1960s Batman meets
basically
like,
Adam West
Tarantino,
Batman meets Inglourious Bastards. Like that's essentially the comic, because it's the fun campiness of Adam West Batman, the jovialness, the campy dialogue, like, oh, gee willikers, Gallows Man, like stuff like that.
Yeah.
But with like Tarantino level violence, like how a good example of this is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where it's a pretty straightforward movie, pretty straightforward drama. Then the last 20 minutes go from 0 to 100 in terms of violence. It's insane.
Okay.
So having little elements like that, all within a world that like all of these people are desensitized to the violence, because it is like an Adam West Batman sort of world.
If you scroll back up, Keith, to that thumbnail image, everything that you really need to know about the style of humor of this project is projected in the X's in the eye of this little deceased guy here. Like that sells it for me right there. You put X's in that guy's eyes, I know exactly what I'm like signing up for. Like that sells it for me.
Yeah, I like the artwork on this thumbnail a lot. Actually.
Yep. Oh yeah,
that was one from your earlier covers, right? Wasn't that?
No, that's from the issue 3 cover. I just have the same. I have the same cover artist for every issue. I have a cover B and a cover A cover artist, and they've stuck with the series.
That's awesome.
That's cool. that you've had that
Yeah,
consistency.
the cover looks great. This cover is
that one's
great.
beautiful right there.
Yeah.
That
Thomas
one's
Tika is the cover A artist, and that one captures a moment in issue 3 where it's a high-speed chase. We're introduced to the Hangmobile, basically Gallows Man's Batmobile sort of thing.
Nice.
And there's a high-speed chase with the villains and stuff, and it's a wild time.
There's buckets of blood on that hood.
I love it. That's great, man. It looks good. I mean, you've been on, I think the last couple appearances were for first issue of this, then the second issue, right? If I remember.
Yeah,
right.
I think like almost every comic I've done on Kickstarter, I've came to you guys and I was like, please.
Yeah.
Have me. But you guys are awesome. But yeah, like Gallows Man 1, 2, Dismay Avenue with the horror anthology series.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, I like it, man. It's fun. It's like it's not all ages, but it's like got a funness about it. Like,
yeah,
that's what's interesting is like doing conventions. On the back of the book, like right where the barcode is, I put rated M for mature reader. There's no suggestive themes. There's no nudity. No sexual undertones. No language. No alcohol use. No smoking. None of that stuff. There's just over-the-top cartoony violence, so that's why I put mature readers. But what's interesting is at a convention, you'll have people walk by, like parents walk by, and you may be sitting next to another vendor who is selling it's not even a nudie book, but just like a girl in bikini sort of thing, and they'll kind of like scoff at that. Like they won't say it, but they'll kind of scoff at that. Then they come to your thing. And they look at it, and it's like, oh, like I'm trying to get little Billy into some comics. Like he's
This
like
is more wholesome.
thing. And I'm like, let me tell you this spiel first. And I tell them all the stuff I had just mentioned, and then they're like, oh yeah, that's no problem at all. Like he watches like all kind of violent stuff and plays like he plays Mortal Kombat. This is nothing. I'm like, oh, okay.
You're talking about me. I get it. Yeah.
well, it's interesting to see that stigma or that thing in the United States where like over the top violence or horror is okay, but like someone in simply a bikini, it's like no. Or let's let this kid watch Saw 3, but God forbid he sees a nipple.
Right. Yeah, I know that's still like a thing, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very weird.
So I wanted to take a look at the issue here too, since you sent me the PDF.
I do Brandon, like I think I said this last time. I feel like this is cut for like an Adult Swim adaptation. Like that's the style and the tone of the humor. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I love that. Ultimately, like, this issue opens up, like, spoiler for issue 2. The very end of it, Gallows Man gets captured by the main villain, Major Swastika. Major Swastika is this over-the-top Nazi villain who also has an Elmer Fudd speech impediment, so where his dialogue is hard to read sometimes. But he gets captured, and Major Swastika does the classic villain thing, the classic also Bond villain thing of like, all right, I have you captured. Now's the time to tell you my entire plan of how I'm going to wreck the city sort of thing. You'll never get out. You'll never get away. And then right here, Gallows Man happens to break out with the help of his superhero team. And then it just goes on this crazy escape venture, as well as, like I mentioned before, them having the Hangmobile and crazy car chases and stuff. This is actually coming up on the whoa crap violence sort of stuff. You'll see with this. This is just an example. Guy,
we're up late. You can watch this.
Yeah. We're past the 10 o'clock hour.
You have Burnwall, the masked butler. Exactly. He's just slamming the guy's face into the wall. They crack the guy's necks. And then it's like, all right, we got to get out of here because Major Swastika had this bomb.
It also kind of has like
that's the thing.
Trippy 70s animated acid vibe a little bit,
right? Yeah, I could see that.
I
like
dig
each
that.
issue is 52. Like issue 1 and 2 is 52 plus pages.
Wow, dude.
Issue 3 is 60 plus pages. It's the longest one. It's like a staple bound mini graphic novel, basically.
Yeah, seriously, that's a lot.
The funny thing is the way you were describing it was like a kid that saw a cartoon late at night, and then he went to school the next day and was like, then he smashed his head into the wall, and then he cracked his skull, and that's.
And you already hit your goal, man. Congrats.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
awesome,
Good job.
man.
Yeah, I had a low goal. We hit it within like the first 40 hours, and it's just been going since. Like we're not even
That's great, man.
2 weeks into it, and we're almost at 2K, and it's just awesome to see the support that people have shown with it. I got some new fan art from people yesterday, and I posted it on Instagram. It's really cool to see.
That's really cool.
Awesome, man.
And this issue is 2 years in the making. I read.
Yes. This issue was
Pretty
2
cool.
years in the making because it's just me and Helen Bolton. She's the interior artist. And then you have Thomas Tikas and Rick. They do the covers. But Helen, she does pencils. Helen, I should first say, is whatever the 5 version of a triple threat is. That's what she is.
Nice.
She is penciler, inker, colorist, letterer. And the 5th thing is like sometimes she'll do little promo stuff, like with our stretch goal. She did the bookmark for that sort of thing.
Oh, cool.
She's phenomenal. So 2 years in the making because one, it's super long, and also me and Helen were trying to make sure we got this just right. And there were also some life things that came up with both of us, but we just wanted to make sure we got it just right. And issues 1 and 2 are great. I really love issue 3 as well. And you just see, again, issues 1 and 2 are great, but you do see us having progressed. Like with each project, with each comic you do, you should be better, or you should learn from the previous thing. And I feel like issue 3 can really show that with this series.
Now I forget, is this a mini or is it, how many issues is it going to be when it's all
it's
done?
going to be 4 issues. So this is
issues.
the penultimate issue. And yeah, each issue is the length of 2, with this one sometimes 3 issues as a whole, to where it's just how I want it structured initially, because I had beats of like, okay, here's where issue 1 ends, here's where issue 2 ends, here's where issue 3 ends. And it just so happens that it took 50 pages to get to that beat sort of thing. So that was a big thing, was since I am making this, there's no executive over me. There's no boss over me. I'm the person making this. I'm going to make it exactly how I want it, page count regardless.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of just self-publishing, is your creative liberty and freedom.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
DS, the cartoons, agrees. I always found it odd that Americans are more sensitive with sex and ultra-violence.
It is really weird.
And even language,
he also
too.
said 52 pages in a self-published book is quite a commitment. It would take me to sacrifice the rest of my 20s to do that. LOL. Johnny, what did you just say? I'm sorry I cut you off.
No, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you either. But I was going to say, even in terms of the sensitivity with sex and violence, you look at the way language is used in different regions too, where if in the UK the word fuck is more offensive than a very particular offensive C word here in the US.
Whereas Australians use that every sentence, every other sentence, that C word.
Scotland too,
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so it's just
wild.
it's funny how there's weird sensitivities and it's very regionalized in that regard.
Yeah, definitely. And then Brandon, what I always ask anyone with a crowdfunding, what's the sweet spot perk that you have for this campaign?
Yeah, so there's tiers that range from $1 to $199. The sweet spots, digital copies start at $7. That's with issue 3. There's a digital bundle that's $18. It comes with Gallows Man 1, Gallows Man 2, Gallows Man 3, as well as Tales from Town City #1. That's what I did last year. It was set in the Gallows Man world, but it follows some of the minor characters, like some homeless villains, the super pets, like that sort of stuff.
Gotcha.
But kind of the sweet spot for digital stuff is that $18 tier, because it's 4 issues. It's almost 200 pages of comics. And then regarding physical, for anyone that hasn't read the Gallows Man before, the catch-up bundle I think is probably the best sweet spot. It's $35. Comes with Gallows Man 1, 2, 3, Tales from Town City #1, all signed, plus PDFs of the comics, PDFs of the script, so you can read the scripts and learn, like, hey, he sucks as a writer. Or as you're progressing on, you get to the issue 3 script, he's like, he sucks a little less as a writer. He's improving a tiny bit.
No, I always like to see that, because I always like to see how the writer describes the action and then how the artist like interprets that. So sometimes I like to see that stuff.
Man, I can't get into all the like weird editor's notes, but with Frank, with talking about editor's notes before, like, this series has had some weird editor's notes from me that I've collected over the years, and some of them, if you take it out of context, I look like a horrible person. But it's just stuff within, because the comic, the bad guys are Nazis, and when you're going to convey certain stuff, it sounds weird.
Make the Nazi look more heroic in this panel.
well, an example. I'll say an example with issue 1.
Less Nazi, like, you know,
with issue 1, there's a flashback scene where Gallows Man is talking about the death of his former mentor, and within that flashback scene, he's talking about how they were undercover and they're like maneuvering through these tunnels under the city, and he's like, we heard these. It's like narration. We heard these rumors that this Nazi cult had infiltrated the city, and then they turn the corner and it's a big reveal. It's this room that is just covered in swastikas, like just over the top how ridiculous it is. And then it's like, I think we were right. Like, just stupid stuff like that. So the editor's note was like, more swastika. It had to be over the top. It was very stupid.
Right, I think when you collect this into a trade, I think you should add that as bonus material in the back.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, I probably will.
That would be fun.
I went. So I was just going to share a quick story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I used to, when I worked for this corporate entity, and I won't say who. I was reading Preacher at the time in trade. So I remember just bringing him into work, and then one particular shift, I went to the break room, was reading, fell asleep. A meeting came in. And I left the copy of the comic there. And so I forgot it there, and because they woken up and I ran back.
What
to my
issue
shift.
was it? Oh,
well, it was one with the Nazi guy that fucks the meat.
Oh God, the meat man or whatever.
So they flipped through the book, and then I ended up triggering an HR meeting because they thought I was reading Nazi propaganda.
Oh my God! How is that promoting the Nazi agenda?
But they just saw the swastikas,
the
and
imagery.
They didn't really look at, you know what I mean? So they just think I was like whatever, you know.
So they wouldn't wake you up. They secretly look at your comic as you're.
No, I left it behind.
I see.
I left it behind, and then they triggered a meeting. Yeah.
Oh my God. Wow. That's the worst one you could have too.
I know, right? Of all the volumes of Preacher. And he fucks the meat.
Should have been like, no, wait, I'll bring volume 1 in next week.
It's out of context.
You can check it out.
Yeah, completely out of context.
You don't understand.
It's not about Nazis. He just hates religion. You're like, you trying to talk yourself out of that one.
And the kid with the butthole face. There's a reason for that.
Yeah, there's a reason. His name is Arseface.
And you got to read about the dickhead guy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It's really not about the Nazis.
Funny as hell. Oh God. The link is in the chat for Gallows Man #3. Check it out. Check out Back Up, and it's another book that's done and ready to go, right, Brandon?
Oh yeah.
Like, the campaign's over. That's
I make
great.
sure we're finished with the books before doing a campaign. That's like an indie like thing, like especially if we're like new into the game, like that's because you don't have you don't have a Todd McFarlane name of like. I'm not saying Todd McFarlane would do this on Kickstarter, but if like with the action figures he had on Kickstarter, Todd McFarlane could have done this. He's a good guy. He wouldn't do this, but he could have just had a sketch drawing of one of those action figures, had the video and like Spawn action figure, $500,000 stretch goal. Let's hit it. And it would probably hit it because he's built up a name. But Todd McFarlane's a great businessman. He would not do that. He'd make sure he's doing the best he can with it. But if you don't have that built-in name, you got to make sure, like, hey, here it's okay. I have all this stuff. It's all good.
I kind of like your description of your the Gallows Man there, like as like kind of the old 60s Batman. You would see the punch before the before the guy hit him in the face, or whatever. Batman hit the guy in the face. You'd see a pow, and then you see the aftermath of what happened. But, and that kind of reminds like, so it was Batman, but it's also
it's kind of done that way, which is great.
I know, but that's a very funny part of it. The humor, like how did all this happen? Kind of like
very much.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say with like that aftermath thing, that was like an initial thing when I was making the book. Was like I still haven't watched a full episode of Adam West Batman, the 60s Batman show, because I don't want it to like subconsciously influence anything Gallows Man after. Okay. This miniseries is done, but there will be more stuff in the future. I don't want it to subconsciously influence that stuff. Once I'm done with all Gallows Man stuff, I'm going to binge that show though. But I'd seen like memes, the bomb over the head, the classic stuff. And the thing was
shark repellent.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the shark repellent. Yeah. But the thing that Harry was talking about, if you see he's about to punch a bad guy and you never see it connect, you never see the punch connect. You see boom, bang, pow. Then you see the aftermath. And the aftermath is bad guys on the ground or bad guys in handcuffs, that sort of thing. And my initial thing was do that. You have the punch. It's about to go. See bang, pow, blam. But then the aftermath is guy falls over and breaks his neck on a table. Guy issue 3 gets his face bashed into the wall repeatedly. Just various things like that.
That's awesome.
I mean, I never watched Queen Latifah and The Equalizer, but I kind of imagine it being the same way because, you can't imagine her being a good fighter, but somehow in like 2 minutes, like all the bad guys are like sprawled out. How does she do that? You just see like a leg or an arm fly out from her long, trench coat. Like how did Queen Latifah learn how to fight this well?
The real question is, what does your mom think of it?
Yeah.
Right. Oh, I'm glad you bring that up. Okay, hold on. Keith, like I'm not trying to do like a all eyes on me, but could you make my screen big?
Yeah. Hang on one sec. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so for issue 1, I didn't know any review sites or anything like that at the time. It was back in late 2020, early 2021. So I just made up some review stuff. The very first one is, and I put it on the back of issue 1. Well, I can say it is a comic book. Grant Morrison, not that one. And then the one I put under that is, boy, do I feel sorry for whoever had to raise the so-called writer. The writer's mom, that one.
That's great,
I love that.
Dude. That's awesome.
Great.
But in all seriousness, my mom knows about the series. As crazy and over the top it can be, or like some of my psychological horror stuff with Dismay Avenue, she is very supportive. Surprisingly,
that's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great. Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask that I didn't ask Patrick was, Patrick, how far along is the Bixby Grant book? Are you halfway done?
It's completely done. So,
you're done too.
Yep.
Okay, perfect.
Yep,
so
3 for 3.
Yeah.
Damn, you guys are all on point.
On point.
I was
Yeah,
able to
seriously.
pull that shoot right when we're ready to jump. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I wish more creators would do that myself, but like, but like I try to like, at least with me, like I try to deliver when I say I'm going to deliver. Like my last one, I was a month late, but I was, pretty close. And I think before that I delivered on time or right a month before or something. So I try to at least hit that, so I don't.
My experience is that backers are understanding. It's just the communication is the thing. Like as long as you're talking to them,
you got to
as long
treat
as
it
you're
like
there.
Yep. You got to put your customer service hat on and
100%.
keep them informed.
Yep.
That's awesome. These campaigns look great, guys. All 3 of them look awesome. Everybody out there, check them out. You saw them all in the show. Like I said, if you're watching tomorrow or later this week, go to the description of the video and you'll find them right there and check them all out. Before we close this out, I just want to share mine really quick here too. I'm in pre-launch right now for Mighty Mascots issue 10. This is a triple size anniversary issue with 2 backup stories. And I also have my Breakfast Brawler Mighty Mascot 3D printed figures coming in this campaign as well.
I'm so excited for those. I can't wait.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. There's a picture of them right there.
So cool.
I'm gonna get a little more exciting packaging hopefully soon. And then also the backup story, we're gonna have the trade paperback of number 2. And the backup story by DC Miller, who popped in here earlier. I love his Hanna-Barbera style artwork here.
So good.
So good.
Yeah.
And then if you sign on now and sign up for the pre-launch, you will get this 6x9 mini print by John Mills, who is another fantastic artist. That'll be added to your order for free if you do order something from the campaign.
Can I get a Keith figurine, or is that available?
What's that? This one right here.
Yeah, can I get a Keith? Is there one coming out? Or?
No, I'm not that egotistical to make my own figure.
I have to say, I saw the figure at WickedCon, and it looks awesome.
Oh, that's right. I had it there. Yeah,
I saw it in person. It's really impressive.
Awesome. Thank you, man. Yeah, I've been working on that actually off and on for a couple of years now, trying to get figures. At first, I was trying to do muscle. Remember muscle figures? The little pink things?
Yeah.
That's what I was trying to do at first, and I couldn't make that happen. So we took the models, and we ended up with Breakfast Brawlers, which I actually kind of like better. I think they work better, bigger. So I'm planning on doing something kind of fun with this campaign. If you buy all 4 sets, you get like a glow-in-the-dark alien for free. Nice. Added to your order, so stuff like that. So it should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, no, thank you guys for coming on. It was nice to talk to all 3 of you tonight. And sometimes these, having a group show is kind of tough trying to talk to everybody, but I thought everyone had a lot of good stuff to say tonight, so it was good.
Yeah, it was fun.
This has been a blast.
Yeah. Did you, John? Do you have anything you wanted to add?
No, I just wanted to take a moment to thank all you guys for slicing a little, piece of your schedule to share with us today, your time and your projects, and just wanted to encourage everybody to go and back all of these books.
Yeah, they all look great.
Thank you.
I think everybody here is like in the business of making people smile, so that's awesome, so
or cry. That works too. I'm happy with that.
All those farts, they make your eyes water.
Either or.
Smiles
and cries, baby. Just like
some kind of emotion. You guys do.
Yeah, that's great.
Wait for the post office to be like shipping a shit ton of books that just have this awful odor.
Someone shipping crap.
Yeah. I need to get a spray bottle and just spray everyone.
How did they develop that fart smell? Is there some kind of scientific formula that you can't reveal, or is it like a secret formula?
It's proprietary.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sorry.
Is it like a farting in a jar or something like that?
Store it.
It's my IP, and I'm not giving it up.
Okay. Secret.
Next to the Coca-Cola.
Locked away in a vault.
Yeah. Before we close out the stream tonight, did you guys want to give out your social medias at all? Go. Maybe we'll start with Brandon and go across the room there.
Yeah. So my socials are Dismay Comics. That's Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and also YouTube. I do a little podcast with a buddy of mine. It is just simply us shooting the breeze. We are yappers. We talk about we made a 2-hour video of us talking about the Crow 2024 versus the 1994 one. So we yap.
What's your channel? I'll send to it.
Dismay Comics, and the podcast is just Dismay Comics podcast. But yeah, we talk about all kinds of stuff. Sometimes deep philosophical conversations. Sometimes random stuff that we talk too long about, like Batman's poop. Like it ranges. There's weird range there, and a lot of the episodes are like an hour and a half to like 2.5 hours. If you want to listen to the podcast, you can. At the very least, I recommend people look at the Dismay Comics clips. We make like 1 to 2 minute stuff from the podcast. There's funny stuff like how Todd McFarlane in the HBO Spawn show, how there was like an intro where it's like going through Todd's toys, and then you see Todd McFarlane and he's drawing on his little thing, and he turns around and he's like, imagine if you would, I'm standing in an alleyway, pants down, pissing in the dumpster. You see me, we lock eyes. What would you do? Our friend Al Simmons, he was faced with that same thing. Hi, I'm Todd McFarlane, creator of Spawn. It's like I love those intros, but they're always like so funny, like how he
I don't remember those.
And so we just did like parody, like a couple parody versions.
Oh, that's funny, dude.
Todd McFarlane doing a Christopher Walken impression. It's like
it's hard to do a Todd McFarlane impression because the guy has a distinctive voice.
Right.
He does. He does have a distinctive voice. That's funny as hell. I did sub Brandon off to check out some of the videos.
Awesome, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Patrick, where can people find you on the socials?
So I'm all over the place. I wasn't smart and got the same name across the platform. But if you go to Linktree / Patrick M. Coyle, all my stuff is there. Or you can go to my publishing site. It's RNM, as in robots, ninjas, monkeys, press.com, and you can sign up for my newsletter there, and you'll get all my updates and stuff there.
Oh, cool. Awesome. How about you, Frank?
This thing at Frank the Writer.
Frank the Writer everywhere?
Yeah. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. That's my handle. FrankTheWriter.com is my website. And like Patrick,
where are you most active on Instagram?
To be honest, I'm trying to cut back on social media. Not a huge fan of it. So the best way to follow me is subscribing to my newsletter on my website, and I send out broadcasts 2 times a month. So,
okay, yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I'm finding newsletters are the thing now, huh? Because they cut through the noise, and I just don't want to add one more thing to my workload, which is because making a newsletter is kind of a time.
I sacrificed a lot of the posting I was doing on social media.
Yeah, I guess if you
I've never been on Twitter and thought afterwards that was a good time, Yeah,
right. I don't think I've ever been on social media and thought that was a good time.
So I'm like, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
So I get the whole necessary evil thing, but I'm like I
feel like this is mine and Johnny's, and to a lesser degree, Harry's newsletter.
I started my own streaming show this year to try to do this with people. I think this is such a better thing. Seeing people's faces, hearing their voices, like that's kind of what it's about.
But having a good discussion too. Like when we're not talking farts and hanging people and stuff.
We could get into we could dive into a rabbit hole of social media, but basically, like humans didn't evolve to just read walls of text at each other.
Right? Yeah.
So that's just I
agree, and like I tell people often, if I did not have a comic and a business, I would be off of there. I think I'm not I'm not like when I hang out with my friends, I'm like the one that can put my phone away for the couple hours that I'm there, and everybody else is like constantly looking at. I can do away with it. Like I can live without it.
How else are your classmates from high school going to fund your comic book that don't really care about the book but are going to throw money at you anyway?
Yeah, that's true,
dude. Right? All my friends from high school have stopped following me so long ago because all I did was post about comics.
That's awesome. That's why I still keep Facebook, Johnny, for that reason. Just so I know I have a lot of fans there.
Shout out to Eric Jensen on Facebook sometimes because I know my grandma's there, and I'm worried she's going to come across my stuff. I don't want my grandma seeing my stuff.
I had a backer on my first campaign. It was my friend's name, so I said, "Thanks, man. Thanks for supporting me." He goes, "That wasn't me. It was just a guy with the same name as my friend." It's like figures. You should have.
Brandon, that's dangerous having your grandmother on there because you could be posting about your comic and in the comments would be like, Brandon, why haven't you come over and visited? You know, like they always write in like the comments.
I see you're still alive. You have free time to post on Facebook.
Yeah.
Like,
why
haven't
can't you write a comic about nice things instead of not?
Yeah. That's so true. That's great. Harry, Johnny, anything you guys want to throw out this week? Any promotion you guys have? Any links? Anything you want to mention? Or
Harry?
No, I mean, like, just more the same. I just do drawings every now and then for my work. You know, my side business. I'm an illustrator, you know, designer. So, but nothing that great. You know,
I'm impressed the Incredible Hulk TV show didn't come up tonight.
I was going to make a comment about the guy's name, Bixby, but I didn't. I held back. Yeah, right.
That's awesome. How about you, Johnny?
Actually, with Bixby in the title, yeah, that actually is worth noting.
Right. I was going to make a comment, but
great name.
Harry was exploding on the inside.
He
wanted to talk about
guys,
Incredible Hulk. So goddamn bad.
Seriously, Harry somehow brings up the Incredible Hulk TV show almost every stream that we have.
I love that show.
Because I don't know how it comes up. It comes out of nowhere sometimes.
Well, the same reason why I love Frankenstein, because, you know, the Hulk didn't ask to be made. You know, this guy, you know, he was in a lab accident, you know, and I feel bad for him. You know, people are trying to kill him. Whatever. I don't know.
I was wrong. It did come up.
You set him up, he'll knock him down.
I didn't bring it up, though.
All right. And Johnny, when you...
Sorry.
Go ahead, Johnny.
He kills me every time.
Like,
sorry, guys.
Seriously, though, if you think about it, how does an adult man get beat up twice an hour every week? Really, I haven't. When's the last time you guys got beaten up?
Harry, you kill me every time, dude. Oh God. Sorry, guys. Composure.
Yeah, right.
Brandon, Patrick, Frank, thank you so much for tolerating our shenanigans and hanging out with us. Once again, we appreciate you so much for spending your time with us tonight.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I gotta agree, guys. Thank you for coming on. We had a great show. I had a lot of fun talking to all three of you guys. Back all these projects, and once again, they'll be in the description of the video if you're watching this later or tomorrow. So check them out. I think they all. How many days left, fellas, on each of your campaigns?
I end Friday.
Friday,
so just a couple.
Okay,
I've got 3 weeks. Oops,
3 weeks, and Brandon,
16, 17 days.
Okay, all right, perfect. So check them out, and then maybe back one a week until you backed all three, So,
and also for people that don't know, if you back it, your credit card doesn't get charged right then. It gets charged at the very end if it funds.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
if you don't get paid till next week, you can still back it now.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that with Kickstarter. Yeah, you
like
got until the end of the campaign. Unless you're doing Frank's, that one's this week's paycheck.
That's right.
That's awesome.
I bank on that layaway, so to speak.
Yeah, no, I do too. That's awesome. But all right, everybody, thank you for tuning in. As always, we are actually off next Monday.
Oh,
our first time in a while, and I think we're actually back to our bi-weekly schedules starting next week, which will be nice. Except in October, whenever I decide to launch. Mighty Mascots will be live whatever Monday we're off. So
in 2 weeks I'll have all new Hulk stories to share with everybody.
Yeah, come back on October 7th. Yep. Our guests will be Travis and Tanner Ogle, which have been on the show before. Great guys that we met at Haverhill Comic-Con, and I actually got to see both of them this weekend at That's Entertainment. And then also our third guest, we'll have a three-fer in 2 weeks. Nandor Fox Schaefer coming back to the show with his new Kickstarter.
Man-Child 3, right?
Man-Child 3, yeah. And so, yeah, it'll be a nice packed show. That should be a good one as well. Those three guys are great. So
come for those guys, stay for the Incredible Hulk.
Yeah. Yeah, whatever take he has then. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe to the channel as always. And most importantly, read some comics, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk to you later. Good night, everybody.
Have a good night.